This is Dr. Pruitt. I hope everyone's having a beautiful Thursday. This is Thursday, June the 25th, 2026, and the time is 1:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check in, come on in, let us know who you are, where you're hailing from, and how you're doing. It's also important to let me know if you can hear me. So welcome. It's the Dr. Kia Show again. This is Thursday, and I hope everybody's having an amazing Thursday afternoon. Check in, family. Where are you hailing from? How is life treating you today? We have a good report, so come on in and let us know how you're doing. And make sure I can hear you and you can hear me. So, where are you hailing from? If you can hear me, please put a 1 in the chat. Welcome. We'll get started in a few minutes, but sometimes we can't hear one another, or you can't hear me. You can hear me. All right, good. We tried this yesterday and you all can't hear me, but we have a good show. It won't be long, but I just want to show you that President Donald Trump is very serious about making America great again and making it safe again for we the people. So check in. Hallelujah. I see you from California. Wow. Somebody says, you really dig Trump. I really dig what the administration is doing for we the people. I appreciate and I'm grateful for the era in which we're living, where things are working out finally for our good. I see Michigan in the house. Come on in. Let me play some music while we get started. I'll give you time to check in. There we go. You're coming in from the Republic of Texas. Republic of Texas. Wonderful to see you. Oh, oh, mm. Come in the room, family. Dr. Kia Pruitt, shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading. Yes, there are a lot of illegals in Ohio. Absolutely. There are a lot of illegal people, in every part of this country. So come on in the room. I'm just giving people a chance to come in. Hi, South Carolina. We have people illegal all over this country who have had a good run. A good run here. Can you hear the music playing? Somebody said President Trump has also done some horrible things. Well, people have to pay penance for the horrible that they've done. I don't know what he's done, in his past life or before he became president, but I know what he's doing now. And I know that the military is in control. When you read about military law and you understand it, you study it, you'll come to understand that President Trump, you hear the music? Hold on. President Trump was chosen by the military to take down the deep state. Oops, themselves. So try. Come on in, family. I'm glad you can hear the music. We just want to give people a chance to come in the room. I'm checking my notes. Welcome. Welcome. It's good to see you too. How do you all feel about the theme song? Do you like it? Yes, on the music. Let me know if you like the music. I'm posting this announcement of this podcast. I want you all to see that our reality really is changing. We are so fortunate to be alive at this time. The frequency is high for the song. Yay! I love that. Dr. Kia. Let me turn it up a little bit while we wait on the family to check in. Day, soul tribe rising. Let me turn it up a little bit. Give me a few minutes. Lights away. Sorry. And all Dr. Kia lights the way to a new and brighter day. Grand Rising. Yes, this is live. This is live. Let me turn the music off for you before it starts over. Oh, it's not quite finished. Yes, this is a live show. This is Thursday. It is June the 25th, 2026. The time is currently 1:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're waiting until 2 o'clock. We have 168 people in the room so far. Please hit the like button as you're coming in. It's your birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
My grandson, Amin Ross, said, happy birthday, Sister Sherilyn. It was also Chief Mac's birthday yesterday. He turned 55. He looks really good for 55. We couldn't believe it. Yeah, he's 55. So check in. We'll get started in a minute. I'm glad you love the music. That song was actually produced by and created by a gentleman by the name of Kenneth, Brother Kenneth. He is a Soul Tribe member. He's a part of our membership group. And he created my song for me. He created a song for Maria Nicole. She has a show on YouTube. He also created a song for Chief Mac. So we're grateful for Brother Kenneth. I tried to get him to come on and talk about his inspiration, behind creating the Dr. Kia Pruitt theme song, and just let us know, who's singing the vocals, something, but he didn't want to. He said he's doing that just to pay homage to the work that I've been doing and just to bless the Soul Tribe. So I'm grateful for Brother Kenneth and for all of you showing up, being here for us. This is. Oh, that's already been posted. Okay. So check in. We're going to get started in just a minute. In case you missed it yesterday, Chief Mac and I went live and talked about some of the things that are going on geopolitically. Let me see. As well as celebrate his birthday. We talked about a few things. So what's going on in the news now? I'll tell you in a minute. Oh, you saw the show yesterday. You just chilling today? Your kids are working on the house. Oh, that's nice. It's nice to be with family. Feels good to be around those who love you. Is something supposed to happen July 4th or 10th? That's what you're hearing? You said it will determine if we will have elections. The only thing I know that's supposed to happen July 4th, a couple things. The 4th of July, Independence Day, commemorates the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, or liberation from the British Crown. So I know we're supposed to have a huge celebration. It was supposed to occur actually last year, starting from Memorial Day, around May 30th, 2025, all the way up through 2026. Up through July 4th, 2026, but I don't know that they've done that fair in Iowa. So we're supposed to be having a huge celebration to commemorate the 250th anniversary year of the Declaration of Independence. And also this is the 50th year anniversary of 9/11. Most of you remember that 9/11 was a really traumatic day for us. It is when the towers were imploded. They stole the gold, took the gold that was supposed to pay we the people, And then after they stole it, they told certain people, of course, not to show up for work that day. They imploded the towers. And then they sent some type of CGI plane or some type of apparatus into the Pentagon, from which the Nasara law was supposed to be announced. Now, we're in that 50th anniversary. 50th is a Jubilee year of the 9/11. 9/11 is a very high frequency day. Actually, 9 is the end of something, the end of the old, the beginning of something new. 11 is a doorway or portal, and it's a master number. So that's probably why they imploded the towers, when they in fact were supposed to announce the Nasara benefits. National Economic Security and Reformation Act, or the global version of that being a Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. So they didn't. And here we are now in the 50th year. We're hearing that things could happen leading up to or on July 4th, but I don't want to say what is supposed to happen, because I honestly don't know. Some people say the currencies could revalue before then. Others say we could have an emergency broadcast system announcement before then. I personally don't know. I've heard that this could happen, but is it going to happen? I honestly don't know. I have to be honest. But it would make sense for it to happen in this year. This is also the year of 10, God's promise, God's law, the vibration of the 1 and a 0. The divine masculine is the 1, the divine feminine, the 0 representing, the womb, the belly, the uterus or whatever. So the 10, the male and the female operating in harmony or in synergistically together. That's high vibrational. And it also is in alignment with one of the universal laws, that everything is masculine and feminine, and that they must work in harmony and synergy. This is why I personally don't like the gender wars. Sorry, I'm turning that. I don't like the gender wars, because I feel like we need each other, the masculine and the feminine. When you cut off one or suppress one, you won't have balance. And life is about balance. But what's supposed to happen in 2026? I'm not sure. It is the time of Jubilee, the year of Jubilee. It is, again, number 10. Next year will be the year of 11, where the doorway or the portal is supposed to be open. So we'll see. He says smart people can be dumb. Venezuela's experiencing massive earthquakes right now, you're saying? Somebody says, do I think she has any idea what she's talking about? You're kidding me, right? I don't know what you're talking about. Northern California loves me. Thank you so much. Great afternoon to you too. I see you all, the comments coming in. Oh, yeah. I've heard about aliens supposedly appearing very soon. Because aliens seeded humanity on the planet, allegedly. Aliens or extraterrestrial beings, which just beings outside of the earth plane, right? Extraterrestrial, additional terrestrial earth terrain outside this area in which we live. And this is why we've heard intel, many of you have heard it now, especially if you heard me speak on it, that says that pastors all across the country, some even say the globe, receive notification that they need to alert their congregation about extraterrestrial life. They need to tell them that some of the information they've heard about the Bible is not true. They need to tell their congregation that many different human populations have been seeded by different extraterrestrial beings. This is what the pastors are saying. This is not coming from Dr. Kia Pruitt. I read the report, but this is what they're saying. So we could have some type of exposure of extraterrestrial life. 200 dead in Venezuela. Let me tell you all something. We need to really send high vibrational frequencies to Venezuela and to our human family all across the globe because there are beings that have enslaved this planet and trapped us under a dome for thousands of years. And they are not happy about our liberation. They're not happy that we're being set free. So they will do all type of things. But there is good news coming out of Venezuela, Vietnam, Zimbabwe, Iraq, and all across the globe. We reported on financial news in my private group. I mean, things that you don't hear about. And I'm like, why doesn't mainstream media talk about how Vietnam is thriving financially? I talked about this in my private group. I talked about the stock market, what Vietnam's doing, how the factories are doing, what their gross domestic product is like, their GDP, how people are flocking to Vietnam, how Vietnam, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe are actually recruiting investors to come into their nation. This is not something that mainstream media is talking about. We talk about it in the private group because it's not mainstream media news. And so we like, if they don't want it out there, we're going to keep it in the group. But if you're interested in learning more about these countries and how you can invest, then join a private group. You could just hit the join button on any of my videos or on the Dr. Kia Pruitt show on YouTube. The people that are in my group have told me that it is very important to be in that group, that is very helpful, that we share a lot of knowledge and information. And I ask them for feedback very often because it's my job to make sure that the soul tribe is fed, whether you're in the public, on this public platform, or in the private group. But there are things I talk about in the private group that I only share in the private. I only share with paid members certain things because there are everybody doesn't like certain information. If it's not mainstream, some people don't want to hear it. And so some things you just keep private and you keep it outside of the public where people are going to insult you or say you're spreading fake rumors. But what we do is we show the sites. I'll cite my sources. I show videos, I show news articles, and I bring people in to talk to the group that are paid experts. Like I'm talking about experts that have been in the field for a while, or they've been in the currency exchange for a while. They've been investors. In fact, I'm going to have someone from a whole life insurance firm to come and talk about how the wealthy actually use health. What is it called? Life insurance to become millionaires. And this Saturday or tomorrow, we'll do it Saturday or Sunday, 2 or 3 days from now, I'm going to talk to the private group about how to get out of debt, because we know debt is going to be done away with. We know that credit is going to be done away with. But if you are in the market right now to buy a home, to buy land, or you might need an apartment or a car, and you're like, I can't wait, then I'm going to tell you how to speed up this process, because I was a credit repair specialist at one time with an A+ rating. And now if you don't want to pay to be in that group, there's a letter on my public group in the post section that shows what you need to say to these creditors that are coming after you. They're predatory, okay? They pay our debt. They sell our debt and people pay to buy our debt, and they sell it off to these companies, but they don't have the original contract with your wet ink signature. And since they don't, the Fair Credit Reporting Act mandates that if they can't provide you the original contract with your wet ink signature, that means they can't verify that the debt belongs to you, and they have to erase it. Any collections off of your credit report, any judgments, they have to erase off your credit report. So I have a letter in my community section for you all for free. I never charge to do credit repair, even with an A+ rating company, because I despise credit so much. I despise that so much, debt, that I refuse to charge anybody. But I would barter and say, if you want to give me something in return. People have given me concert tickets. They gave me, they did my hair, they did something for free. well, in exchange for that service. And I've helped people get houses, get into homes. I've helped people buy cars. I've helped people move ahead just because I despise the system. But I don't provide that service anymore. However, I have shared with you that letter in the public on my post or community section. Grand Rising. They buy our debt for $1. Thank you, Manifesto. And then come after you. After they paid themselves out of your trust. So each of us at birth had a birth certificate. Our mom signed it. They called your mom the informant to try to criminalize her. And some people have really gone after their moms, like, you signed my life over to the government. You're no good. That's so hateful. Moms don't know what they're doing. They're thinking they're putting it on public record. I just had a bouncing baby girl, a bouncing baby boy. Because we used to announce that. It used to go in the paper. You would document that announcement in the Bible, your family Bible, and it would pass down from generation to generation. But in this new reality, we would, you sign the birth certificate thinking you're doing something noble. The hospital then sends it off, securitizes the birth certificate, turn it into a bond. It goes into the New York and other stock exchanges, accrued interest, and it's put into a trust that is supposed to be offsetting our lifestyle as Americans. And I'm sure they do the same thing abroad. But instead, what they do is they make you and me take out a loan. We're signing a promissory note thinking I'm promising to pay, not knowing that we're giving them power of attorney to our trust. They take the money out of the trust, whether it's for your rent, utilities, mortgage, whatever, pay themselves and then charge us with interest and late fees, no less. That's unconstitutional, unlawful. It has to be overturned. We will receive all that money back. But these people are evil. But let me tell you something about these wicked people. They tell you what they're doing. You just have to know where to look to find information. I'm in Florida. I'm reading from different accounts. I received a rebate from Nick or Gas out of nowhere. I don't know if it's real. I'm a call. People are literally receiving rebates and their student loans are being discharged because everything's being turned over. It's going overturned. I'm going to get to the news for today. We almost have 300. We have 365 people, 368. Let's wait till we get to 400. So here's the thing. The Chevron doctrine that had given the government unlimited powers was overturned June 2024. It was overturned by the Supreme Court. When the Supreme Court overturned the Chevron doctrine, they literally said in the ruling that the government had been operating treasonously and unconstitutionally. And any judge that participated in any activities of the government and forcing us to pay and forcing us to abide by them, all those judges also committed treason. And any judge that knew of a judge that allowed this to happen and didn't report it to the president, they committed misprision of treason. So you got 466 government agencies. Look on my posts or community section of my YouTube channel. I show you all the agencies. I give you a link to all the agencies. 466 government agencies that had unlimited powers that was running roughshod, creating statutes, codes, policies, legalities. I can't even call them laws because laws come from the Constitution for our republic. They would just make up stuff that we had to do. And if we didn't do it, they would send their policy enforcers or police officers after us. They haul us into court and make us pay fines, put us in jail. And let me tell you something, they will give you a court date and extend it. You know how they say you're supposed to have a quick and speedy trial? No, they put them off because each time they do that, and I learned this from from studying, but my brother-in-law confirmed it. My brother-in-law Daryl, my brother-in-law Daryl, my husband's baby brother, knows so much. And it's interesting how a lot of people that's been talking about this stuff that know so much have been called crazy all their lives and mistreated all their lives. But now he's finally being compensated for his deep dives and researches. Daryl, shout out to you if you're listening to me. Your sister loves you. I trust you. I respect you. And I'm grateful for the hard work you've done all your life, even though people called you crazy. Thank you, brother. So he verified for me that each time they put off your court date, they create a new bond. They wait until it matures. Okay? So they can make money. The court officials. Let me put this nose ring in. I think I look cuter with a nose ring. It's my vanity. Don't mind me. So you're like, haven't I had a court date? Or what's taking so long? Or why do they keep putting things off? Because they're creating new bonds, waiting until they mature. And they're actually dipping into your birth certificate bond. The whole system is corrupt. They're gangsters. Child support is unlawful. Thank you for asking about that, Amelia. In fact, giving somebody like the court system your companion's social security number is unlawful. That's their law, that you can't give away anybody's social security number. But a lot of us did not know this. So that's unlawful, giving away the social security number, them even using that to access the bank account that's attached to the social security number. There's an account attached to your birth certificate, bond. There's an account attached to your social security number. In fact, your social security number is attached to a central bank. And if you know how to read the numbers, you can figure out which city and state your birth certificate bond. Mine is in Chicago, by the way. Your car loan is paid off. Your car loan, your mortgage, your student loans, all that comes out of your bonds. The Chevron doctor did not give the government unlimited powers, colluded with the corporation to create a fraudulent bureaucracy. That's what Brother Love says. Actually, it says that the Chevron doctrine it expanded their powers and gave them powers to do whatever they wanted to do. And anytime you try to negate it, the courts would say you had to do whatever the government agency said because they were the experts. Yes, it did. The Chevron doctrines was thought up to extend their powers. Absolutely. Thank you, Sister Dana. You're right. You're right. It's MAGA for life, somebody says. So we've all been ripped off. We're the third party beneficiaries. Yeah, it's like you can't win from losing, because no matter what law or legality they came up with, you comply to that one, you abide by that one, they will create another one. You abide by that one, they'll make up something else. Meanwhile, they bring foreign nationals into your country to run roughshod and do whatever they want to do and give them benefits and grant them United States citizenship so they can feel like they're an American just like you and me. Somebody says you look very beautiful, guy. Thank you, Sister Vicky. We've been ripped off, family. But President Trump just said recently something I want you to hear me clear. He is going after fraudsters. It started with the overturning of the Chevron doctrine, but really the military was created a while ago to take down the deep state. But in our reality, we actually see it in writing, where the Chevron doctrine was overturned in 2024, where they said the government was fraudulent. This aligns with what Pope Francis said in his letter to Obama in 2014. Pope Francis sent a letter to President Obama saying, we all must cease and desist. He said, this is a notification that everybody that's been working under the British Crown and for the corporation must cease and desist. He said in his letter called Motu Proprio, and I read it several times on my YouTube channel. He said, President Obama, is not the president, a lawful president of the country. He's a president of a corporation and CEO of a corporation, as are all presidents. He said, but our time is up. He said, you must cease and desist, and I must cease and desist because the corporation that was incorporated in 1871 is unlawful. And it was incorporated as a nonprofit religious organization with me, the Pope, as the head. He said, as the head of said corporation, I'm putting it on public record that our time is up. All presidents must cease and desist. I must step down. All court officials, all 404, at that time it was not quite 447 as it is today, 446 or 447, but all government agencies, he said, were created as enemies against the people. We all must cease and desist. And he named all U.S. Marshals, policy enforcers, court officials, attorneys, judges. We all must stand down. And if we don't, Pope Francis said in 2014, a grand army of the Republic will be formed to force us out of our positions, with General Ham at the head of the army. He said, it has been our policy to enslave African Americans and as chattel property to force them to pay off our debt. It has also been our policy, he said we did that after the Civil War, but it's also been our policy to enslave everybody to make them pay off the debt. Our debts. But we've been found out we must stand down and cease and desist. And that letter is very powerful. Even though they didn't stand down, if we as Americans had known, we could have forced the issue. But 10 years after that, almost to the date, the Supreme Court of the United States overturned the Chevron doctrine, which had given the government unlimited powers and said the FBI, CEA, IRS, all of them must be dismantled. Then the Supreme Court came back in July of 2025, what was it, 2020? 2024, and said all state-sponsored banks can operate independently from, separately from the Federal Reserve central banking system and issue out their own gold-backed currencies. The state-sponsored banks can have their own charter. Do you understand how significant this is? This means the Federal Reserve central banking system no longer has power. Not only is it insolvent, has no money, and bankrupt, but state-sponsored banks now are operating in their sovereign capacity because states, according to our republic, are now countries, free, and have their own laws. That's why it's important for you and me to work at the local level. We have power. Even according to the Constitution, local governments, local grassroots community organizations have more power than anything that will call itself federal or government, because we give these entities power. They can only do what we allow them to do to us. But it's a new day. It's a new season. It's a new day. Okay? It's a season of power and prosperity. I can't remember the whole song. It's a new season. I think that's Israel Hoffman. Is that his name? Christian song. It's a whole new season. But 2024 overturned the Chevron doctrine. It made state-sponsored banks sovereign and able to issue out their own gold-backed currency. This is why you all even know what Basel III compliancy is, because Basel III compliancy, I'm trying to set up my phone so it won't. Basel III compliancy was about banks recognizing gold as a tier 1 asset, meaning now banks recognize gold as money and not United States dollars. So I'm trying to get all this together on my different platforms. Now gold is recognized as money. That's what Basel III was about. All the banks that didn't comply with these new regulations were dismantled. That's why we have bank collapses, banks shutting down over the last 5 years, major banks. They have to now recognize gold as money. They have to have gold and silver in their coffers and tier two assets. In my private group, I actually have a video where I read announcements that said not state sponsored banks, all banks met globally to ensure they were ready for currency exchanges. They did a couple of things. They have gold and silver in their coffers, and they have tier two assets, foreign currencies in their coffers. And they said the reason why they're doing this, not only are they ready for foreign currency exchanges, but they're also doing this to protect the banks against foreseeable or unforeseeable banking collapse or economic problems. Brother Love said it all started in 1871 officially. Oh, there's a troll in here? Yay! Dana got some foreign currencies. That's awesome. What's taking so long for the banks to begin the gold standard and use gold instead of the USD? So first, I'll tell you some of the things that's taking the banks so long. The official announcement is not going to come until everything and everybody is in compliance. Now, there was a secret agreement to return the whole world to the gold standard, and that agreement is called Project Sandman or Operation Sandman. That agreement was actually made years ago behind the scenes. In that agreement, they said that they would have a return to the gold standard, but the way they would do this is by each country dropping the United States dollar and not using it for trade. But you have to remember, it took a long time to get up to that point because the United States Incorporated had a very strong military. They used advanced technology that was afforded to them by the ETs that Eisenhower and others, the arrangements they had. They got this advanced technology, and in exchange for giving these extraterrestrials humans to manipulate and to, do different experimentation on. So, and we had a systematic programming and banking and rules and regulations, not only on us in America, but all across the world. It took a long time for the countries to come to an agreement because they were afraid of the military. They were afraid of the consequences. They were afraid that what you all talking about, earthquakes in Venezuela, they would use their technology, the people in power, to send earthquakes, to send floods, to send tornadoes, hurricanes. We know what they did with Hurricane Katrina in Louisiana here. Imagine what they've been doing all these years to other countries that won't comply with the United States Incorporated to use the USD, the dollar. So countries had to get up, the leaders had to get up the courage to fight against these world powers, many of whom are not even human. And a lot of the leaders were put in place by these nefarious entities that are Nephilim or human hybrids or just full outright reptilians, draconians, archons, whatever you want to call them. They're not human. Many of them that were in power, or their human hybrids were in power all across the globe. And any of them that were human were still puppets of the corporation. That's why a lot of foreign leaders are actually educated here in England, here in America, or in London, England, or abroad. Because remember, we were subject to the British Crown, and that was just an extension of the Roman Empire. So that's why they were educated on across the pond or here in America. World leaders all over the world, and they have land here in America and in London or across the pond. So they had an allegiance to the deep state. They pledged their allegiance. They might have been born into it. They were blackmailed into it. Okay, so it took time to actually get the nerve to fight against that system. And there were some benefits that they were given. Their family wouldn't be unalived if they participated. If they went against it, they would be unalived, and so would their family. That's hard. I'm answering the question, what's taking so long for these banks to announce the gold standard? So you had an agreement that 209 nations would, when triggered, stop trading with the United States dollar. Can you imagine? I had a phone call. I'm sorry. Can you imagine how hard that would be for people to go against the system that's feeding them, that's holding them hostage, that's holding their children hostage, that might be selling family members, to gangster organizations? So it took a while. But 209 nations said, we're going to wait for a trigger, and then we're going to stop trading with the United States dollar. That trigger, thank you for the hearts, was Vladimir Putin going to Ukraine and instigating the Ukrainian war. But really, he was uncovering a lot of nefarious activities that was going on underground there with the deep military bases, the trafficking, the money laundering, creating diseases, all of that. That was the trigger. And we know, you can see that now that you know that. That was in 2022. What happened? Biden, who was the then resident, put sanctions on Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and said, you have no right to go to Ukraine. Brought a whole bunch of Ukrainians here, put sanctions on, gave them jobs, gave them benefits, okay, made all the world, including the American people, feel guilty that we don't really know what's going on behind these wars. Biden did not appreciate that Vladimir Putin was uncovering a lot of nefarious activities in which he was involved. And so he put sanctions on Putin. That was 2022. Putin then went to the BRICS bloc that had been created for this. You got to set things up. They were created for trade deals and other things, but also for this. They've been waiting for the right time. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Used to be just BRIC without South Africa, but now it's BRICS. Vladimir Putin went to the BRICS conference in 2022 and said, Biden just put sanctions on me for what I uncovered in Ukraine. I sent that information to James Comer, who is the chairperson of the House Oversight Committee in America. They have a whole record, lots of records on what Biden, the Biden crime family, other presidents, other prelates from all the world been doing, not only in Ukraine, but in China. I uncovered all of this. So Biden put sanctions on me. So this is what we're going to do. He said at the BRICS conference, we're going to now initiate that agreement that we've had, that we're going to stop trading with the United States dollar. Since they want to put sanctions on me and tell everybody not to do business with Russia. They've been against Russia for a long time. Remember, Russia. We were children in the 80s and the 70s, scared of Russia, thinking planes and bombs was going to fall on our heads, and doing drills because the Russians were coming against us. You remember that? They've always said something against Russia. Maybe it's because Russia knew who we are and the power that we have. So Vladimir Putin said, you know what? We're going to stop trading with the United States dollar since he put sanctions on me. I'm not afraid of him. I got my own military. I'm going to stop, and you are going to stop. And in 2022, the Russian ruble became the strongest performing currency in the world. Well, that was inspirational and encouraging to all the countries and countries' leaders, because nothing happened to Putin. Biden didn't come and yank him up. He didn't do anything to him. The BRICS bloc stopped trading with the USD to an extent, started using the Russian ruble. And then Biden said, not Biden, but Vladimir Putin said, now it's time for each of you to stop trading with the United States dollar and use your own local currencies for trade. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some time, but this is a systematic method of dismantling the Federal Reserve central banking system and toppling the United States Incorporated. Because what made the United States Incorporated, that fake faux government that the Supreme Court overturned in 2024 with unlimited their powers by overturning the Chevron doctrine, what made them have financial and economic hegemony, or make them the powerhouse of world leaders, was that they had an agreement with Saudi Arabia. And that agreement entailed the United States Incorporated protecting the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil. They put sanctions on Venezuela. They put sanctions on Iraq, Iran, the Middle East region. They put sanctions on everybody else that had oil, but we can only get oil from Saudi Arabia. But we'll protect the Saudi kingdom, the Saudi princes, and the Saudi empire, who, by the way, owned a lot of land in Las Vegas, a lot of land here and other places in America, and was running all type of sex trafficking rings, money scandaling, money laundering here in America. But the United States Incorporated protected the Saudi kingdom in exchange for their oil. And they forced all nations to get oil only from Saudi Arabia. I learned this from Miles Franklin, Precious Metals Company, the CEO, Andy Schectman. By the way, speaking of Andy Schectman, the last time I looked at silver, it was like $63 an ounce. This might be a good time to get silver. Gold was like, what, 3,900? I haven't seen these numbers in a couple years. Earlier this year, gold was all the way up to $130. Silver, was all the way to $130. How is it? 63. This might be a good time to get silver and gold if you're interested in that. Contact Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company at 952-929-7006. I got to look in my brain. 952-929-7006. Or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Better Business Bureau rating of an A+. I've been an affiliate for many years now. I've had Andy Schectman on my show. Somebody said, I've been watching Andy for years, and here you had him on your show. I'm very fortunate, very grateful that he allowed me to be an affiliate. So call him up. Let him know Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. This is a buying opportunity if you're into silver and gold and you want to pass that over or pass it down to your family members. So Vladimir Putin spoke to the BRICS bloc and said, let's all use our own currencies backed by trade. But they were like, some of them were like, I'm afraid, because the last time somebody tried to do that, they bombed them. They unalived the person that did that. And they will often do that. But Vladimir Putin said, I have a military. This is the right time. We have help. We have other military. We have other entities that are here to help us. Some people call them the Galactic Federation of Lights. Some people call them the Nasara White Knights. Some people just call them ETs that have returned to help humanity. If you read books on how there are lands outside of Earth and outside of the ice walls, Nos Confundum, I think is the name of this guy that has several books out. Terra Infinita is the number one, the beginner book of his series that talks about other lands outside the ice walls and how they've come back many times to help save humanity. But Vladimir Putin said, it's just our time. So then he started asking other people to join BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. The first nation that they tapped on the shoulders to join BRICS was Saudi Arabia in 2022. A lot of people didn't know that. So Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, and that actually did away with the agreement. Yes, I'll put the number in the comment section of Miles Franklin Precious Metals Company. That did away with the agreement between Saudi Arabia and the United States. Saudi Arabia joined BRICS, and BRICS became known as SAL-BRICS. Then BRICS became known, as more countries joined, as BRICS Plus. By the end of 2022, 85% of the global population had joined BRICS. I'm putting Miles Franklin's number in here. Miles Franklin. But they had joined the BRICS bloc. A lot of people just didn't know. Now I'm answering the question, what's taking so long? When I say 952-929, y'all, I have so much information in my head, and I'm trying to do so many things at the same time that sometimes I wonder how I can keep this all in my head. My mom asked me, as an aside, why do you keep forgetting things? She said, Kia, your mind, something happened to your mind. I'll ask you something, you forget. I said, Mom, it's just I have all this information swarming in my head, all these news articles I've read, all this information, all these people I've spoken to, all these interviews, all these phone numbers, the gold prices, the silver prices, the copper prices, what's going on geopolitically, what's going on across the pond, what are the new laws, that sometimes like everyday things just miss me. Thank you for the Cash App gift. I appreciate you. Some things I just can't remember. For Miles Franklin for silver or gold, call 952-929-7006. Somebody asked me to put it in chat, or email info@milesfranklin.com. Mention that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. To get the best prices. Somebody put in the chat for me what silver and gold is looking like right now. What are the prices on silver, gold, and copper? So Saudi Arabia joined BRICS. 85% of the global population at the end of 2022 had joined the BRICS bloc. In the meantime, simultaneously, all these countries were repatriating their gold back from the Vatican and their artifacts. And they were getting rid of corruption in their countries. They were strengthening their military. They were joining allegiances with each other. They were making moves to get out the people in power who work for the United States Incorporated. All this stuff was going on behind the scenes, but it took a lot of time, money, because you got to like barter, do business, pay off some people. It took a lot of getting help from outsiders as well. All while trying to make it seem like everything was basically normal to everyday people, and keeping the everyday people entertained by putting shows on, creating false flag events, creating black swan events, having entertainers to sing to them, creating a lot of scandals. All this to keep the people either fighting each other or so entertained that they don't know that the whole world is coalescing against the deep state, the Illuminati, the United States Incorporated, and all those governments. That took a lot of work. Meanwhile, the military had called on President Donald Trump a long time ago. That's why you see the Simpsons shows and other shows show him actually talking about being the president years ago, like over a decade ago, over 2 decades ago. So when they bring Trump on, a lot of people remember the things that he did from his past. A lot of people bringing it up. Some people not knowing if this is the real Trump or not. There's a whole lot of chaos going on. And when the man we know as President Donald Trump came in 2016, you had the mainstream media, fake news, just coming out with all this rhetoric and all this so-called news against President Donald Trump to keep him from taking down the deep state. It took a long time to get to where we are because it took a long time to get to where we are. It's going to take a long time to take down the deep state. We're just finding out about a deep state, right? But how many millennia have we been enslaved? How many generations have been enslaved? Through the media, through propaganda machine, through the education system, through the court rulings, through, I don't know, programming on the television. That took a long time. We've been enslaved for a long time. They've been having wars and been in flux for a long time. So now it has taken the same amount of time, it seems, to dismantle it. But we're just realizing, I'm not saying most of you, some of you may have known this, President Donald Trump was the trumpet in Zion, making the announcement, alerting the people that all this nefarious stuff has been going on. Now, some of you could feel it, some of you could see certain things happening, but a lot of us didn't know how deeply this criminal activity, mafia, has been going on. We didn't know how many children were being bothered, trafficked, traded. We didn't know how many countries were involved in trafficking of children, harvesting organs from people. So it's taken a long time to get here because there was a lot of work to be done. So that secret agreement to when triggered, stop trading with the United States dollar, was issued behind the scenes, but Vladimir Putin was that trigger. And then all these countries started saying we're no longer trading with the dollar. But imagine what they had to do to back their currencies. Now that they're saying they're not going to use the USD. They had to repatriate their gold back from the Vatican. They had to work with other countries, with each other. For example, Zimbabwe in 2018 secured a deal with China for China to help them mine the gold in Zimbabwe so that they could have access to their wealth and back up their own currency. All this had to go on behind the scenes. It was a lot. So countries agreed when triggered to stop trading with the dollar. They started doing that. Saudi Arabia joined the BRICS bloc in 2022. Then in 2023, that agreement between Saudi Arabia and the United States Incorporated to protect the Saudi kingdom in exchange for oil and then force all countries to get oil only from Saudi Arabia, and they had to use the United States dollar. That agreement was not renewed in 2023. A lot of people don't know that. But it really was over in 2022 when they joined BRICS. But you could actually see that it wasn't renewed. Then the BRICS bloc just started growing and growing and coalescing against the West to dismantle the United States Incorporated's power so they would no longer have financial and economic hegemony, and so that the United States dollar would lose its place as being the world reserve currency, because the United States dollar is a part of the central bank, United States, the Federal Reserve Central Bank, which is attached to the United States Incorporated. Look at how this network was. Then you had the Chinese Party, Communist Party, the CCP, working in cahoots with the United States Incorporated. And the CCP was producing all of our goods, shipping in stuff here to America, including diseases, buying up all of our lands, buying farmland, buying real estate by the military bases. Thankfully, in about 2023, 400 million people defected from the Chinese Communist Party. And around that same time, you had Evergrande, the largest CCP real estate owned company, to file bankruptcy here in America. And then the following year, they were forced to liquidate their assets. So you had the CCP, you had the United States Incorporated. We don't even know who's really up in there in the so-called government. It's a bunch of foreign nationals and a bunch of entities that are not human, and they're human hybrids. A lot of people in the government, a lot of people working in the court system, these attorneys and judges, administrative judges, are not even American. Let that sink in. They're foreign nationals, undocumented, many of them. You don't believe it? Look it up and look up how they were allowed to get law degrees being undocumented, and if they were paid to go to law school, and many of them came with fake law degrees. And they could just take a few classes here in America through that F1 student visa and get benefits while they're here, and they never left. But thankfully, President Trump is doing away with F1 student visas, because these people will come over here from all over the world saying, oh, I just want to learn English, or I just want to take a few classes, and they would get an English education, just taking English classes. Then they might get an associate's degree. Then they might get, what's a 2-year degree? Then they might get a bachelor's degree. That's a 4-year degree. Then they might get a master's degree. Then they might get a PhD or a law degree, a jurisprudence degree, or get an MD, a medical degree. And then I'll get a second associate's degree and a second master's and a second bachelor's and a second PhD. And then that's not enough. I'm going to do what's called research above the PhD, where I can become a doctoral fellow and get a doctoral fellowship, which means you get money to study after you get your PhD, but you don't have to work. And they never had to change their status with this F1 visa. Millions here. But let's talk about the ones that came with fake law degrees. Fake medical degrees. Y'all know by now. Chief Mack and I have done a couple reports, and we're going to keep telling until it gets in the heads and the minds and the hearts of the people that we've been duped. They've been selling fake medical degrees from India to Indians, not indigenous Americans, but to East Indians from the continent of Asia. Fake medical degrees, millions of them, sold from India to Indians here, or they came here with their fake medical degrees, and they're practicing medicine on you and me. Why do you think we have so many misdiagnoses in America? Why do you think pharmaceutical drugs are pushed? And you go to a doctor, they got horrible bedside manner. They haven't studied histology, gross anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, biology, organic chemistry. How do you know all these, Dr. Key? Because I worked in a medical school at the University of Louisville. I taught the verbal reasoning component of the MCAT exam, the medical college admissions exam, and the dental admissions exam. I helped students pass USMLE step 1 and step 2 board exams so that they can become doctors. I helped them and did their resume so they could secure residencies in medical and dental schools. I created symposiums to help get rid of health disparities in the Black community in urban areas, and in the rural white communities, and in the rural communities where people not classified as white, because the white people were mistreated just like some other people, because these people from abroad, you don't have to believe me, you can look it up, call white people po white trash. And American Indians, indigenous, autogenous people misclassified as African American as niggas and Negroes and monkeys. Why you think they mistreat you when you go to the hospital and they give you horrible bedside manner? Because they overlook you and think they're better than you as they practice medicine and work in collaboration with the medical industry that has only their pockets as their best interest. They don't care anything about Americans. They're over here trying to make us feel guilty, saying, don't send them home. They contribute to the American community and American economy. Millions of fake medical degrees is a contribution to our society. Fake nursing license. 5.3 Indians are here from East India, from Asia here, coming on my platform telling me that I can be like them if I just learn their ways. I've had people say on my Facebook platform, we have land, we have generational land, and we have generational properties where all our families live on the land here, and we have our morals and values and principles from our country, and we pull our money together, and that's why we're at the top of the pyramid, making on average 6 figures as East Indians here. 5.3 million are here. But they didn't tell you that the land that they're on was stolen from the indigenous people here that are misclassified as Black folk. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you, none of them, you foreign nationals that come here, calm down, Pruitt, that they were granted and afforded opportunities that you and I were never afforded. Millions were given fake medical degrees. Not only are they going after the F1 student visas where international students were able to come over here, and you know what? As long as they filled out the paperwork, I think it's called an I-20, every few years, they can stay as long as they want. And they never changed their status, many of them. But now we also know that 80% of the motels are owned by East Indians. How, Sway? And it's from one particular family, the Patel family, from one small farming community. And when you look up the information, you listen to the YouTube channels, it's because, they have so much ingenuity. They're just so smart and so brave. And, they just have so much girth. And then you find out they've been given opportunities that Americans weren't afforded. Fake medical degrees, fake opportunities, H-1B visas that's allowed 90,000 per year at least into our country every single year on a H-1B visa. That's not including the spouses that they bring over here. So that's another 90,000. East Indians, and you got sprinkles of Chinese in there too. They didn't even report on the others that are here each year. 90,000 plus their spouses, 180,000 each year from just the continent of Asia. Who else? And then let's talk about the 400,000 H-1B visas every single year that have to be renewed. And let me help you out here. They're not just in medicine. They take the professional jobs that you and I worked so hard for, took out student loans for, studied hard, worked hard, got our dissertations or our master's degrees or our bachelor's degrees, did internships, sent out thousands of resumes, made sure we lived an upstanding lifestyle. Meanwhile, they took finance jobs, engineering jobs, medicine, and architect. You wonder why some of the houses are falling apart? Because they don't have the best interests of Americans at heart. They don't even understand the best way to build according to our Constitution. And they can just curtail and go around certain statutes that you could never get away with. You wonder what are the top professions East Indians get. And I don't have anything against them as individuals. I have something, a problem, an issue with the United States Incorporated and the system that allowed this to happen. They can get off my land though. I mean, since you got all this help and all this money and all these degrees and all this education and this ingenuity and clean up, which some say is one of the, when you look at what people say about India, the cleanliness, I mean, the infrastructure is not for me to say, it's not my country. I'll leave that to them. Thank you for the Cash App gift, the donation. So if you want to know what are the top professional jobs, just remember FEMA. That's how I remember it. You know how you learn in school the acronyms to help you remember things: finance, engineering, medicine, and architect. But that's not all. But wait, there's more, as the commercials say. They also, now we're discovering, have jobs in the factories, Amazon, service industry jobs, entry-level jobs. You know, the jobs that your children usually would have in the summertime or to help keep them busy after school. Yeah, you got people from India on H-1B visas taking those jobs. And you know, the scholarships that were earmarked for minorities, you know, people classified as African-American, and then also for women, it could be Caucasian women too. You know, those that maybe were underrepresented in certain disciplines like medicine, like education, like whatever, because they said they were trying to compensate for the racism, discrimination, sexism of people of color that we endured as indigenous, real Indians in America. Were they trying to destiny swap with us? East Indians swap out our position as the indigenous and Indian people here? I don't know, but their children sure get the minority scholarships in science, technology, engineering, and math. And they sure get the scholarships in other disciplines as well, because they can classify as a minority. So President Donald Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio said, we have to get rid of this problem where people are flooding our borders. They were talking about Mexicans for years. Like, it's the Mexicans, they coming over, they crossing the border, they swimming it through, they're going underground tunnels. It is not, no. They're migrants migrating from one part of the lands to the next. But you want to talk about a serious issue? Who's here on H-1B visas taking all of the jobs that deal with infrastructure and our health? Your health is your wealth. East Indians, Chinese, some South Americans, some Africans, Middle Easterns who are masquerading as Mexicans coming through the border. This might not be politically correct. I don't know. I'm just telling you what's in the news. I don't have my screen up where I can show you the articles, but I've done it many times. That's how we know about what's happened to the police department. They're a bunch of criminals anyway. Not all of them. Okay, I'm generalizing. Many of them, and they're part of a brotherhood and secret society, but they were also infiltrated by MS-13 gang members from across the world. A lot of these people come to America, they serve in the police department, okay? If they can't get a job with their fake medical degrees and fake law degrees or paid for degrees that the government paid them, they'll go and work for law enforcement, as a policy enforcer, and pull you over and give you a ticket, and they're not even documented in America. Somebody help me make that make sense. You can look it up. It's a problem. In places like New York and California, it's a big problem of foreign nationals in the police departments. But a lot of them are scared and they're losing their jobs because they've been found out that they're not American. They're not Americans and they're not United States citizens. Many of them are DACA recipients, deferred action for childhood arrivals. You know, when foreign nationals send their children to America and they were protected against deportation, they thought they were protected forever. They didn't read the document. They don't understand deferred. English may not be their first language. Deferred means it's just been put off. Your deportation has been put off. If you read the fine print, it tells you this is not a legal pathway to permanent residency, DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals. But see, people thought they could scheme on us forever and get away with this and send their children over here and let them work. Serve in the military, serve in the police department, serve wherever they want. Get them a law degree, a medical degree, a this degree, a that, have government benefits. Hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars per person. Then they can have a baby here, not even be a national. And their baby automatically got birthright citizenship and a passport and benefits. And that means the mama would also get the benefits. Why do you think so many people are foreign nationals in the government, in medicine, politics, healthcare, higher education, research institutions? It's not just because of DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals, people sending their kids here. It's not just because they have birthright citizenship, because women from all over the world would come here and just drop their babies here and their babies would automatically become a citizen and they would get benefits. So they would get these jobs, the mothers and the fathers, on top of getting welfare, food stamp, Section 8, work permits. But it's also the CCP that were smuggled in here and came in here. This is why then Secretary of State in 2020, Mike Pompeo, look it up on YouTube, spoke at the governor's conference February the 8th, 2020, and said, I know all about the Chinese Communist Party people y'all let in here, governors. I have a record. I'm a former CIA, former FBI, I think it's former CIA, Mike Pompeo. I have a record of all of you governors and the criminal activities you've done. And I have a record of everybody you've allowed here in the Americas that's a part of the Communist Chinese Party. You've let them infiltrate every segment and sector of our society. He said, I'm urging you to do the right thing because your time's almost up. That was in 2020. Here we are 7 years later, 2026, 6 years later. And now I'm going to read something that President Trump said. But he said, on the report card I have, I have a grade that's where the CCP graded you between an A to an F on how complicit you've been with the Chinese Communist Party. Somebody said, you people need help. While we were struggling here to pay rent, Mike Pompeo said, you allowed people from the Chinese Communist Party to come into our schools from elementary on to our graduate schools, our medical schools. You've let the CCP come in here masquerading as students while they were gathering information and selling out secrets. You've let them infiltrate the military. You've let them buy lands here. You've allowed them to come into the hospitals and work and do research. I can never forget the man I met in 2009 who was a medical doctor who told me about all the stuff he saw happening in the basement of the hospitals. He said, I can't even give you the details because I'm afraid for my life, but I'm running to Costa Rica or to another country and getting out of here. When I found out all of the research and investigative things they were doing in the basement of the hospital, I said, why you think it's so cold down there? There's creatures down there. They're harvesting organs and keeping them on ice down there. They're doing experimentation down there. You think a room is a closet? There's a whole operation going, a whole lab and experimentation going on. A doctor told me this. I was a little younger then, so I was just gathering information. I was like, wow, that's interesting. I didn't know how massive the fraud was. Mike Pompeo said, I know about all the Chinese people you let come in here. You let them go into the banking industry. You let them go into every area. And let them get jobs that the American people don't have access to. The governors allowed this. You are over the state, he said. You let mobs come in here like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. You let so much go on, but I'm urging you to do the right thing, because if you don't, we're going to come against you with a vengeance. They didn't listen. They allowed Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and all these protests to come in and flood the states, knowing that they were getting paid from George Soros and those other entities through Act Blue. When you donate, you would donate. It would go through Act Blue, the same entity that funded the Democratic Party. And I know that these Antifa folk was funded by George Soros, because I had a couple of people that I'm close to. It's like, I really want to work to help the Black community. If I have the opportunity to do some grassroots work and I can get a scholarship from the George Soros Foundation, can you recommend me? Because they didn't know the work I did. All they know is that I'm blood, I'm family, and they want to do the right thing to help Black people. But if you look on the website of Black Lives Matter, it tells you we're against the nuclear family. And when you follow the money, you see that the people that were involved were a bunch of men masquerading as women. And they were blazingly against the family. They put it in their mission statement. They didn't hide. They tell you who they are. They stole that money and enriched themselves. Meanwhile, we continue to suffer as Black Lives Matter and Antifa, Black Lives Matter, shouting mantras, I can't breathe, seeding that into the consciousness of people, when you know if you want life, you have to breathe. I can't breathe. You're literally casting negative affirmations against yourself. Hands up, don't shoot. How about if you bum rush my house, I'm going to stand on principles and I'm going to take you out of here. Hands up, don't shoot. If you mistreat me, I'm going to form a militia. That's what the Constitution for the Republic says. You can form a militia. You can go in those places and yank out those people who perform a coup d'etat on our lawful government. That might be what J6 was really about. Maybe they weren't a bunch of gangsters. Maybe they were doing what was lawful and forming a militia to go and yank out those criminals out of the house, or the people's house. So Mike Pompeo said, do the right thing. But what the deep state do, they stage a Black Swan event, or a red, what they call it, false flag event, said that George Floyd was unalive. We don't know if that was CGI, AI, great acting, or real. And it had everybody all up in their emotions, talking about defund the police before it was time. Because what were you going to do once you defund the police? Who was going to protect you? You had to wait until this time to where we dismantled the police department. Look it up. Police departments all across America are shutting down. The police are asked to take early retirement. Some of them are being arrested. And the duties of the police is going over to the sheriff department, because according to our republic, the only thing that can deal with law, enforcing the law, is the sheriffs. And we're talking about elected sheriffs, not those that were just appointed or put in position. So they staged this George Floyd situation. Then Breonna Taylor, whether it was real or not, I don't know, or it could have been a sacrifice, because the show was a whole lot of entertainers that came. That at the time I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, came down to Louisville, Kentucky. A lot of entertainers, Hollywood actors, making money off of that situation, doing reports from there and putting a part of the marches in on their shows, working with the local attorneys to help get them out of jail when they went to jail. Then you had rappers who said Louisville was their favorite place, and it just was interesting. I don't know these rapper people, but I know the largest drug ring was called No Limit in Louisville, Kentucky. I know some of the people that were unalive through some of those protests and some of the gangbanging activities was actually their funeral was paid by entertainers. Keep your energy and your emotions in check. These people have been running game on all of us. Well, in the Trump administration's latest efforts to crack down on fraud, the Justice Department on Tuesday unveiled charges against 455 people for their alleged participation in healthcare fraud and opioid abuse schemes. The defendants included 90 doctors. I'd be interested in knowing how many were American. Thought I saw somebody run past. Maybe the kids are outside. The defendants included 90 doctors and other healthcare professionals who were involved in $6.5 billion worth of fraud that involved fraud claims. Oh, that is my grandson. And resulted in significant harming of patients here in America, the Justice Department announced. But this is just the beginning. Fraudsters can no longer rip off American taxpayers, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said at a press conference on Tuesday. Remember, I told you they make major announcements on Tuesdays. This is something that the Trump administration said. If you seek to harm or cheat or fraud Americans, we will find you, hunt you down, seize any of your assets, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Thank you, President Donald Trump and administration. Officials highlighted one defendant who they claim rubber stamped a student's cardiovascular test as normal. They said a student's test was normal without alerting the family that his heart was actually enlarged. And this 18-year-old student, a college basketball player by the name of Caden Francis, died weeks later during a workout. His family was never told he had heart issues. His heart was enlarged, but they rubber stamped his records and said it was normal. Who are these people operating as medical professionals in our country? A record 45 states and territories participated in this year's National Healthcare Fraud Takedown, which Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. noted during the press conference. The Trump administration has clamped down on Medicare and Medicaid fraud in several states, primarily Democratic-led states, leading their governors to claim political bias. So governors all across the country in America are saying that the Trump administration has political bias because many of these states that had a whole lot of fraud happening were actually Democratic states. And who lives in Democratic states? Who makes up the bulk of these large communities, urban communities, other than people classified as Black? Medicare fraud, Medicaid fraud. So they can just say, oh, you're being biased against the Democrats, against people who need our vote, is basically what they're saying. You're harming the minorities by coming against the fraudsters in our states. The Trump administration has been particularly focused on healthcare fraud, this administration. Dr. Mehmet Oz, who runs the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Devices, has been one of the leading players, drawing on his TV podcast or broadcast to film videos in areas that he claims are hot spots for fraud, mostly Democratic areas. The agency is looking to stop payment for fraudulent claims before they are made. Healthcare fraud steals from taxpayers, it exploits vulnerable patients, and puts lives at risk. We are literally paying with our lives to have all of these unlawful people here in America practicing on us, harming us, But the Trump administration said, we will find you, we will hunt you down, we will seize your assets, and we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. It reminds you of Executive Order 138/18 that President Trump signed during his first administration, saying that anybody that committed crimes against humanity will have all their assets frozen and they will deal with tribunals, military tribunals. Empress Butterfly says, my snitch finger is ready. Public tribunals now, please. I done ran out of popcorn. Let's go. Am I listening to a Black woman who's not telling me that she's an absolute victim and specific about skin color? Good show. Glad to see you with the brain. That's funny. Hey, Chuck. That's not Chuck-a-Luck from, is that Chuck-a-Luck? So there's a guy named Chuck-a-Luck who's a leading guitarist from Earth, Wind, and Fire that actually follows our show and listens to our show. So I'm so grateful, but I don't know if that's the Chuck. Remember the Tuskegee experiment. That's right. They're always experimenting on us. I don't think you've seen my list. Your message, your first message, your car loan stated on your credit report, paid in full. 16,228 wiped out. Now I'm waiting for my check. This is really happening. Oh my God, gratitude. Oh my goodness, Crystal, I have tears in my eyes. Thank you for sharing that with the Soul family. $16,000 in the car loan that wiped out. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy this has finally happened for our Soul family. When I spoke on how student loan debt is being wiped out the other day, I had people in the comment section saying, Dr. Pruitt, I received email saying my student loan debt was wiped out. If you missed it, 30,000 people had their student loans discharged. Now that was a part of a court hearing, a court case where students had actually taken the Department of Education to court. Was the department? Yes. It was determined then that a lot of these entities were forcing students to get involved in loans that were, harming them. They were subject to predatory lending behavior. Now, some people's like, well, that doesn't mean everybody will have their loans discharged. I'm telling you, everybody will have their loans discharged. That ruling that these banks and other entities committed fraud because forcing people to, first of all, they didn't lend you any money. You were lent credit. They were accessing your credit from your trust. That's theft. Then they said you have to pay them back with interest. Interest is against the Constitution for the Republic. So that lawsuit is setting the precedent for what will happen in the future for all of you and me as it relates to student loan debt. See, a lot of people don't know how this works, but when you take an entity to court, you can say, I need to have my student loans discharged, right? And your attorney can argue that there was a case called such and such that occurred and was ruled on in 2026. And it was ruled in favor of 30,000 students because the banks and the lending institutions committed fraud. And the students, therefore, were victims of predatory lending. Your attorney can then say that case set the precedent for how my client needs to be rectified. But what's going to happen is that the United States Treasury Department is going to manage that situation, okay? And we know this because as we reported, $1.7 trillion student loan debt portfolio earlier this year was transferred from the United States Department of Education over to the Treasury Department. And the Treasury Department's representative said, this is part of President Donald Trump's systematic method of dismantling the Department of Education. And she said, we have the authority to do that as the United States Treasury because we work for the Republic and we are the experts as it relates to finance, money, and banking. The representative went on to say, people should continue paying their student loans until we rectify the situation, because we took $1.7 trillion student loan debt portfolio from the Department of Education. But our first focus is going to be those who are in default status. They defaulted on their loans. They couldn't pay. It went to default status. It significantly affected their credit report. We're going to help to remedy them first. This is why we're hearing testimonies on the Dr. Kia Pruitt show and otherwise saying, my student loans went away. They were discharged, because she literally said, we're going to work first to help those who went into default status, and then we're going to help everybody else. But it's up to us to decide how we're going to do that. Of course, she's not going to go into detail and say, this is a part of National Economic Security Reformation Act, or the global version of that, or this is a part of this law, that law. She said, we are the experts. And they are, because according to the Republic, like she said, they deal with money, finance, and banking, not the Department of Education. But this should be hopeful. This should be inspiring and encouraging you, because in the report, it literally said this is part of Trump's plan to dismantle the Department of Education. The Department of Education is one of those 466 government entities that must be dismantled. This is why we're under a partial government shutdown right now. They're dismantling the system. I encourage you to look it up, or ask some of your education administrator friends and family members you have, and ask them what's happening in education, because it's not just the federal Department of Education that's being dismantled. It's administrators all across the globe that's getting the email, checking in, and seeing your services are no longer rendered. Then that will trickle down to the teachers. Look up how many teachers are being fired. Not fired, let go, retire, asked to retire early, or just told, you might as well call it fired. You're no longer needed. And look at how many schools are consolidating, because they're dismantling the Department of Education, and they're ending public schools, because public schools were publicly funded by the United States Incorporated, the fake faux government that's now under a partial government shutdown, and that has been called fraudulent, unconstitutional, and treasonous by the Supreme Court of the United States in 2024. The month was June. The day to be determined, because I have to look it up, the year 2024, the decision. The United States Incorporated had been given unlimited powers through the Chevron Doctrine. And we found that the Chevron Doctrine did not have lawful reasons or power to give any entity calling itself or posing as a government or part of the Republic unlimited powers. As such, we've determined that the whole government and all their agencies are unconstitutional, unlawful, and they committed treason. And any judge that participated in their shenanigans committed treason. Any judge that knew of a judge that allowed this to happen and did not report it to the President of the United States committed misprision of treason. And I'm here to tell you today, family foes, ear hustlers, lurkers, and otherwise, that the penalty for treason is their time is up. President Trump is not playing with these people. 455 people, including doctors, with $6.5 billion in healthcare fraud have been found out. And President Trump said, anybody stealing from Americans, harming Americans, or otherwise, will be found. We will hunt you down. We will find you. We will seize your assets. And we will prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. You can find that video, that article, and I'll share it with you in the comments section. What else is going on in the news? On President Trump's Truth Social, yesterday, he said, I'm not signing what I said I was going to sign today. He's like, it's a new day. I don't have time to play with y'all. He said it on his social media page. He abruptly delayed signing a bipartisan housing affordability bill that he was supposed to sign yesterday, which was Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. He delayed signing it, demanding lawpayers pass a voter identification law first. And he accused major oil companies also on yesterday of price gouging. So that I looked up what was the breaking news of yesterday. So basically, President Donald Trump, you can look it up on his Truth Social. Let me see if we can find that Truth Social post. I'm looking for that. I want to read exactly what he said. Here it is, the real Donald Trump. It was posted yesterday. Today's housing news conference and signing is hereby canceled until such time as we pass the desperately needed Save America Act, which I consider to be a national emergency. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. I'm not signing anything. We're not having a news conference today, he said on yesterday, until we pass this Save America Act, forcing people who are immigrants to show that they're United States citizens before they vote. Because you had a lot of people that weren't even citizens, they weren't even documented, who were voting in elections. You know what's happening? People are they're panicking. Because he said, I'm not doing anything until we pass the Save America Act, which I'm confident will pass. You have to show that you're a United States citizen in order to vote. Oh, the Democrats don't like this. If you want to know what is the Save America Act, I'll read it briefly. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or Save America Act, is a federal bill documentary proof requiring documented proof of United States citizenship. You got to show a passport, a birth certificate. That's why these people were coming here, dropping their babies off, giving birth here so their kid can automatically get a birth certificate and passport. Okay. But the thing is, their children could automatically become a United States citizen. Oh, but don't worry, we're dealing with them too. But you got to prove that you have United States citizenship by providing a birth certificate, passport, or something in order to register to vote, to cast a ballot. It has passed in the House, but it's stalled in the Senate, so he ain't signing nothing else until they pass this. And the Democrats are mad. They don't like it. Here's the thing. These people will come here from other countries, and these men that practice polygyny will bring all these women. Some of them were their wives, some of them weren't. But we only acknowledge the wife with whom you have a legal contract with, the first wife, right? We don't acknowledge your third, fourth, fifth, 20th, 80th wife in America. But they will bring them all here, pregnant. Let them give birth here. They get a birth certificate and a birth certificate bond, which means there's accruing interest, right? And they would get a passport automatically and be called a United States citizen. And their parents would get welfare, food stamps, Section 8, work permit while they're here. The medical bill would be taken care of. I think we need to send the medical bill with them as we export them back to their country. Who's paying the bills? And all the debt they're accumulating while they're here, who's paying it? Because they can just leave and go back to their country. Somebody got to pay that bill. Is it the American taxpayers? I'm just asking. Or even the citizens' taxpayers? So through the child who was birthed here, the parent would get all the benefits. And so would all the family members that's in the house. Hundreds and thousands of dollars per month. But they don't want to leave here because they've been given so many benefits while we struggle. Can't find a job because they got the H-1B visas, the F-1 student visas, the undocumented student services help. They get the loans, low interest bearing loans for their businesses they start, or non-interest bearing loans that last for 5 years. And then when that 5 years up, they go get Uncle Ishmael from their home country to come and take over the loan. And then when that 5 years run out, they bring another uncle or another father. They've been running game on America while we suffer. While they put their noses up in the air, look down on you. You go to their restaurants, they're nasty. You go to your hospital on your lands, they mistreat you, misdiagnose you, have no good bedside manners. And you need to go look in these gated communities. It's full of foreign nationals, full of European Caucasians and foreign nationals, and just a few indigenous, autochthonous, I don't know how to say the word correctly, so-called Negroes. Because you don't have enough money and access to the same education and the free ride that everybody else has been given. But I'm going to teach you how to, I'm going to teach you how to walk in integrity. If you listen, you already know that. And I'm going to help you until credit is done away with. I'm going to help you get your credit right. They don't care how much money you make. I've been in positions where I made good money, the best money I ever made in my life. I have a PhD and 2 master's degrees. It didn't matter because my credit was not A1. Meanwhile, these people come over here, don't even have to have credit. Ask me how I know. My son's a real estate broker. He works with mortgage officers who say that people from abroad can just say they have a transcript, a college transcript, and they get a whole $200,000, $300,000 loan to buy a house, mortgage, no credit. That's why they're in the gated communities. Sure, some of them might have worked on their credit, but do they have credit at all? I'm gonna help you. Look on my post. I'm gonna help you right now. Look on my post, and I say I was once a credit repair specialist. I give you the letter if there's something negative on your credit report. Yes, you might have accumulated the debt. That's not the issue. Accumulated the debt. We're not talking about that. The Fair Credit Reporting Act says that if they cannot provide the original contract with your wet ink signature, Section 609 of the FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act, says they must remove it from your credit report. I give you the language to use, tell you how to sign it, to send a copy of your driver's license to prove that it's you. If you want to take it a notch up, you can get the letter notified. Send it to TransUnion. I even provide the address. Send it to Equifax. I provide the address. Send it to Experian. I provide the address. In the meantime, you tell them in that letter, they got 30 days to remove that from your credit report. I tell you from A to Z how to do that. You wait. After 30 days, they will either tell you if it's verified or not. Verified just simply means that a collection agency paid for it. They won't verify it with the original contract. These collection agencies do not have it. Do you hear me? So they might play with you and say, we proved that it was verified. You say, I need the wet ink signature. Give them another 30 days. And usually by then they'll take it, remove it. If they don't, you threaten to sue them and you take them to small claims court, but they don't want to go that far. Usually with the first or second round, they'll remove it from your credit report. But this is just a template that I put on my post, my community section. You can pay for a credit repair specialist. They will charge you, like you used to be back in the day, 10 years ago, $99 a month until it's removed. But then you have some that'll pay to delete. You pay them until it's deleted. They might just say, pay me a large, like $200 or whatever. But you can write that letter on your own. It's legal. They always provide a loophole. It's just that you and I didn't know about these loopholes. And then in my private group on this weekend, I'm going to go into it deeper about what else you need to do to get that score up if you need something right away. So you can gain access. They don't care about if you make enough money, and they all run. You know what's weird? If you're trying to rent a place, you have top companies like Zillow. That's just one that everybody knows about, but other top companies that bought up all the houses. Okay. So that's why they raised the rent. They bought up the houses. They can give these houses to foreign nationals who are given better jobs than you in America. And some of them get stipends for housing. Even students get stipend for housing, medical students, doctoral students, graduate students that are working on a medical degree. If they get the right scholarship or fellowship, they can get a stipend. That's an amount of money to live on top of the scholarship to pay off their tuition. And they can get to work in a lab or something like that. A lot of people don't know about that. If y'all want to know about how to help your children get scholarships, how to help them get tuition paid for, how to help them get grants, how to prepare your children that are in elementary, middle, and high school for certain professions, I can tell you right now, look for the community, I think it's called community involvement, community something, part of your school. Most colleges in your state, in your city, have some type of department or program for children. My children were in summer programs every year, engineering summer programs, medicine summer programs from sixth grade on. And some of them were in other programs before sixth grade. What else? Journalism programs. You have to look at community outreach. Each school, especially universities, have a community outreach part of their university. You can find grants and programs that are free for your children to help get them ready for certain professions. But you usually need to look the year before the summer. So usually those scholarships or those programs have to be applied for by October or November. So if I wanted my children to go to some type of summer program, elementary, middle, or high school student, to do a summer program in engineering or in medicine, or you look up community outreach in the university, in anything, they will have had to apply and have everything in by October of 2025. And they will get notified by January 2026, and then they can go into these programs in the summer. And it's not just for minorities. It's not just for people classified as poor. It's for people that know what's going on. But a lot of you, even when you do that in the summertime, your children may still be behind, because people that's a part of Jack and Jill, those are the Black elite secret societies for children. Jack and Jill, and I don't know what the Caucasian students, I don't know what their secret society are for their children. They go through these programs that prepare them for high society and professional degrees. But we everyday people had no knowledge. So here you are in college saying, I want to be a doctor, but you behind, because the people that participated in Jack and Jill or their parents were already doctors and they're classified as white, they're Caucasian, or these foreign nationals. They've been practicing medicine for a long time, and their children actually learn to shadow doctors. As little children, they learn to study science. They learn what to say when they present themselves to the medical admissions committee. I've sat in on those committees where foreign nationals, they were like, oh yeah, I shadowed this doctor, that doctor, usually family members. And I went to a histology lab and I took this class and that class. They know to say that. But you're saying, when you're a junior in college, I want to be a doctor, you're way behind. Because you're supposed to take the MCAT, the medical college admissions test, about your sophomore or junior year of college. But if you're just saying, I want to be a doctor, you're not prepared. You haven't taken organic chemistry, histology, physiology, gross anatomy, biology, your first or second year of college. You should have taken biology and physiology, organic chemistry and basic chemistry. So you a junior or senior time, I want to be a doctor, and you are already behind because you didn't take the classes that you should have taken in your freshman year. And you haven't even shadowed doctors yet. You've not even seen a procedure, or a surgery. My son saw a brain surgery because I wanted him to go into medicine. He didn't, but he saw a brain surgery, and he was doing working in labs with the chair of the department of the chair of the physiology department in high school. He was doing research on diabetes, investigating and experimenting on rats, diabetes, and all time. And then he worked in the cancer research on the main campus with a high producing chemistry professor. So if you desire for your children to get into some of these professions that these foreign nationals have overtaken, you're going to have to start very, very young, finding out what they're good at, honing those skills, looking for programs and opportunities, going to community outreach at the universities, looking for programs. We have something called HealthWise in Louisville, Kentucky, where you can be in the sixth grade on, I think fifth or sixth grade, and actually do research, medical research, to introduce you to the sciences. It was called HealthWise. And then as you go on through your education in middle school and high school, we would come to your class, recruit you, and bring you to the medical campus and let you look at the patient simulation clinic where the medical students were working on mannequins. By the way, that whole Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Annie, are you okay? Annie was the name of a mannequin. And when you're learning CPR and first aid, you're supposed to do certain compressions and say, Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? Annie, are you okay? To see if they're breathing. Now, I don't know what Michael Jackson, what he was really doing. I'm sure there's something coded there. But let your children learn about first aid, CPR as children if they want. I'm passionate about this because I work for the medical school. Whatever they're good at, hone those skills, expose them, and give them access. Give them the best opportunity to thrive and succeed. Let them be competitive so that when they try to allow foreign nationals to come here and take those spots, your child is doing so well academically and emotionally that he's chosen. If you desire for him to go into some of these, oh man, hold on. I'll call you back. Ra, call Uncle Doug and tell him I'll call him back. Tell him, give me 10 more minutes. If you desire for him to go into medicine. Okay, I'm gonna get off of that. They don't teach this kind of stuff or this information in high school. They should be teaching this stuff in the school system, yes. But schools were created to propagandize our children, right? And to teach them how to be slaves and how to build up other people's corporations. Your community outreach section of the university in your school has likely some type of engineering program for middle and high school students. So in the summertime, they'll be doing engineering work. My children were doing AutoCAD. I don't even know what AutoCAD is because my brother-in-law was an engineer and a chair of a department in Marshall University. So children should be preparing for life as children. Look at what they're good at. And even if you're not sure what they're good at, put something in them. I put medicine in my children because I worked at the medical school. They didn't go into medicine, but they learned about certain things. They did take biology and some of those classes. They were exposed to other children who had a certain mindset that I'm going to be doctors, I'm going to be lawyers, I'm going to be engineers, even though they went their own path. But now with my babies, my grandbabies, I'm doing a different approach. I'm looking at what they're already good at and instead of trying to force them into certain things. Okay. And they're developing beautifully. My granddaughter does fashion. She's been designing dresses. She does hair and beauty. She's 10. She's good at that. My grandson is foraging and growing plants and studying geography, all that stuff. But my older children, I put them in summer programs. A lot of people that are not from America know about these programs. They look for them. And here's another thing. They put their children, because some of them came on fake degrees, some of them came on degrees from their countries, and then they came here, took a few classes, and they've been working here. Now, and some of them that came in with degrees from their country, they're driving taxis because they don't know game, okay? Like a lot of them coming from certain African countries, they don't know the game. They driving taxis and some of these people that's here driving taxis, Uber and all that, they don't even speak English. They've taken everything. Factory jobs, low-level entry jobs, medicine, dentistry, finance, banking, everything. And the ones that can't get a job, they the ones doing Uber, can't speak a lick of English, but they can use their device. So another thing they do when they come to this country is they put their children in junior colleges. Now, a lot of us been conditioned, I ain't going to no 2-year college, I'm going to a 4-year college, right? They put their children in junior colleges where they can get an associate's degree on the cheap for very little money. And they have smaller classes. They're a little easier typically than universities. They're not as distracted because there's not that many people there. Children live right at home while they're in junior college, getting an associate's degree and whatever. Then they transfer to a university. And then they may get a scholarship, or their family might pay because they got the jobs, right? Or they might, get a fellowship or something. Or you can do what's called, I can't think of what it's called, but it's when you work. You work on campus. I can't think of what that's called. You work for like a certain amount of hours, and then they'll pay for your college education. They'll put them in those programs. 2-year university, 2-year school, then go into a 4-year, and then it's cheaper. They can stay home. They're more mature by the time they get in the university. And these foreign nationals stay on their students. They control who they date. They control who they spend time with. Some of them control who they marry. And I'm all for it, because I've seen it work compared to sending your children off and just letting the administrators be their parent. And now we as administrators and professors were taught that these children have freedom and sovereignty. They have a right to freedom. They have a right to privacy. We're not allowed to talk to the parents about what's going on with them. If they get drunk or they're pledging and they're getting sick and beat up by their fraternities and sororities or being ran through, we can't tell. But I'm that one. I'm the parent. Now, as a professional, I didn't say anything except for if those students came to me and talked to me. I said, you better do what your parent tell you to do, because your parent paying your tuition. You better stop listening to all these professors and student affairs people tell you you got privacy and right to privacy. You can do whatever you want because your mama's paying your tuition. Your daddy's paying your tuition. And let me tell you how they do. If you don't do what I say do, these foreign nationals that send their kids to college, they might give them a car, but guess whose car getting turned off if you don't bring A's home? Their child's. Guess who loses access to the apartment that the parent paid for? The child. They don't care none about what kind of rules we got here. You're going to go to America, get these grades, not play around and sleep around and get drunk and get high. Meanwhile, we just, they're 18. They can do whatever they want. We're going to have to get better at parenting our children. They're not smart at 18. I don't care how they act like they've been here before. The part of the brain that deals with making rational decisions doesn't even develop until age 25. 18 is too young to make real adult decisions. Okay, let me stop. So the liberals don't like the fact that President Trump saying people have to prove that they're United States citizens in order to vote. So what's funny is that there was an article that came out that says there are documentation barriers. When registering to vote, this one article says, Americans are already required to verify their eligibility, but these bills impose unnecessary barriers to the registration process. Requiring voters to provide documentation is too much. You're asking them to provide for documentation they don't have. More than 21 million Americans are unable to access these additional documents. Like what? A birth certificate? A passport? But the article says they don't have access to these documents. People of color and married people who have changed their names, they'll have difficulty accessing these documents. Why they always got to throw us in their stuff? People of color will suffer if you require them to prove that they're a United States citizen, if you make them show their ID. You're committing racism, according to these publications. Liberal publications. Under these bills, most voters wouldn't be able to register to vote with their driver's license alone, because licenses do not indicate citizenship. They'll need other documentation, they're saying, like a U.S. passport or birth certificate. And minorities will have a hard time finding these. How, Sway? They're always trying to find a way to throw us in their mix, to use us like, black folk, they're not responsible enough to keep their birth certificates if they want to participate in the matrix and vote. people of color could suffer from this bill. What about the elderly? You mean the elders who've been keeping documentation, especially elders in my community? We still got the birth certificates and social security cards for our children that's 40 years old. What you talking about? It's underneath the mattress. Or in the box that's classified as important papers. We don't even give them their birth certificates and social security cards because we don't trust them. You better go and get your documentation, your copy from the people, from them folks at the office, at the social security office. Now, some of us might give them away. We always got that copy, that original. What do you mean we could suffer? They're always looking for a way to throw people of color in their foolishness to make it seem like we're not competent enough to participate if we wanted to participate in the matrix. So President Trump can't demand that these foreign nationals prove their citizenship. But here's the thing that he hasn't even spoken about out loud. He's even challenging citizenship, green cards, permanent residency, because many of them got it illegally and unlawfully. We won't even talk about how citizenship was granted by and afforded by to these foreign nationals from the United States Incorporated that no longer exists. It's insolvent. The Treasury Department ruled or issued a report saying that the United States government is insolvent. It can't pay its bills. It's defunct. It's not existing. The Republic is operating right now, not the government, unless you have small factions of the government trying to stay afloat until it's completely absorbed by the Republic. So a lot of these people that got United States citizenship, they gonna get sent back home because many of them got those citizenships illegally, and the government that gave them citizenship status only made them chattel property and slavery to help them pay off their debt. The Pope admitted to that. And a citizen means that you're chattel property of the United States Incorporated. It doesn't make you American, doesn't make you a national. You already have a nationality if you're a foreign national. It's not American. So we're even challenging birthright citizenship, DACA, deferred action for childhood arrivals, all of that. F1 visas for students to come over here and study because they never left, and they put an end to that. They're saying if you're here to study, you got to do your study, you got to get out. Ain't no, I need more time, because these people didn't even ask immigration for more time. They just applied for another program. And there's always a program, always a school, always a university, always an institution that's willing to take your money or money from the government in order for you to study here abroad, here in our lands. And they were taking jobs while they were here. So this is being done away with. The H-1B visas as of 2027, 0 will be given out. Were those visas that allow foreign nationals like Indians and Chinese and others to come here? 0. And President Trump is doing something different with the change of status. All these people that came over here illegally and that would just change their status while here in America. And they would go from, maybe they came here on a tourism visa or a spouse visa or F1 visa or whatever, study abroad visa, whatever the reason they came over here. Then when their time ran out, they could just do a change of status and be able to wait in America, work here, get a work permit, and wait on that green card, even if it took 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So President Trump said, now you have to go to your home country and do a change of status. No more changes of statuses here in America. All hail the Republic. American schools teach the children not to think, but only to obey and work. They will never talk about banking or saving their money. Nope, that's for us to teach them, you're right. Or how to invest their money. Excuse me. I must have been eating something with mucus or mucus producing. I need more alkaline foods. No more changes of status. If you want to change your status, you have to go to your home country. Okay. And you have to go to the embassy there. Here's new news, breaking news that I broke the other day. Embassies, United States embassies all across the globe are closing. You know why? Because we don't have the funding. Because the government is gone. It's hard for people to believe. The United States Department is reducing its global diplomatic footprint with significant scaling back of operations and visa processing locations. Trump is saying you got to go back home. But guess what? A lot of the embassies are closing. They're not just closing embassies and what mainstream media is they're publishing about embassies closing in Africa. People are like, oh, Trump is so racist. He don't like people of color. He don't like Africans, Black folks. Talking about that's the homeland, blah, blah, blah. They're not telling you that he's actually closing embassies in Africa, Europe. In fact, most of them are in African countries and Western Europe and other European nations. Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. The State Department plans to drastically reduce the number of African embassies and consulates. That's good news for the Africans because finally they can have sovereignty. It's bad enough that through the Berlin conference? I guess some of these conferences mixed up, where the Europeans divided the continent of Africa for themselves and colonized them and stole their resources and made them learn their languages and their cultures. Now they getting kicked out. These European nations were able, it was called the, what was it? Scatter for Africa, something like that. What was it called? Y'all tell me in the comment section. But the consulates that processed visas, they're downsizing. There were nearly 50. Then they're going to take them down to 20 until they fully do away with embassies in Africa. Several full embassy closures and consolidations have been processed for countries including Eritrea, Gambia, Lesotho, the Republic of Congo, South Sudan, alongside consular closures in South Africa. And we know that apartheid was running heavy in South Africa. So a lot of the United States Incorporated, as much as they posed like they were against apartheid, were working in cahoots with the other European nations to mistreat the African people there. In Europe, cost reduction efforts and budget cuts have targeted the diplomatic presence in Europe with closures and service reductions stated for consulates in countries such as Italy, France, Germany, Portugal, and others. And you can look it up, and how the United States is drastically slashing the number of embassies in these nations across the world. Let me see, Middle East. A lot of people don't like it, but you have to consider that many people that were over here in America were practicing medicine, misdiagnosing us, and practicing on us, doing all type of experimentation on us, taking the jobs that we need while we're struggling, while our veterans are homeless and hungry and on the streets, while our women with children are suffering, while families are being broken apart because the parents cannot provide because they can't find jobs. It's not that they don't want to work. They cannot find jobs if you have hundreds of thousands and millions of people flooding your country yearly. And the ones here have continuously processed their paperwork over and over, renewed their visas each year. I told you, H-1 visas alone, 90,000 per year from Asia, India, and China. How many others? Then they will recruit their spouses. That's another 90,000. And they will give them jobs. And all of them get benefits. And their children. And their children will get the scholarships. And they will get housing. They will get the best of housing, the best of jobs. We're not even talking about the entry-level jobs. The 80% of motels owned by Indians. 50% of convenience stores owned by Indians from Asia, 50% of gas stations owned by Indians. What percentage is owned by people from the Middle East? It's not that we don't have the ingenuity or we don't have the business acumen. It's that we weren't afforded access or information. Meanwhile, foreign nationals are literally recruited by corporations and the government. They call it brain drain. And giving money to them and their spouses. So you got 90,000 coming from India, 90,000 with their spouses. That's 180,000. We're not even going to count all the other foreign nationals that come over here on H-1B visas, plus 400,000 per year that's processed or renewed. But we're lazy. We don't want to work. Oh, they'll tell you. They've told me that to my face many times. We take the jobs you won't take. And they say it so blatantly, so blazingly, so arrogantly, so strongly. We take the jobs they don't want to take. We contribute to this country. Y'all lazy. Y'all don't want to work. Americans, they got it good. We came over here with $5 in a dream. Liar. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Tell the truth. Shame the devil. You got benefits. And the ones that did come here that had to pay off the cartel, well, now you can go home and you don't have to pay the cartel anymore. You can breathe. Because a lot of them, like in the nail shops, I learned from somebody in the beauty industry. She's like, I can't tell too much. She's on her YouTube channel because I don't want nobody coming to get me. She said, I live in Vegas, and Vegas is run by the cartel. We know that from different countries. She said a lot of the women in those nail shops, they can charge you less than the Americans and then the so-called Black Americans, the indigenous people, because they get cheaper chemicals to work on your nails. And they don't do the proper sanitation because they don't have the correct work permits, and they're not monitored like American businesses. All they do is they work, and they might even charge you cheaper because they have cheaper products, but also because many of them are slaves, or they're just happy to be in America and they have to take whatever money that they get from you. That's why they want cash, so they can pay off the cartel and leave just a little bit for themselves. And a lot of these shops ask for cash only because they don't want to be checked by the government. They don't want to pay taxes. But you're lazy when you don't want to pay taxes. You're lazy when you don't have a job and you don't know game like they know game. Meanwhile, the ones running the cartels getting all these benefits. They were recruited by the government. The good news is President Donald Trump said, if you are here and you have sought or have harmed Americans or cheat Americans, we will hunt you down, seize your assets, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. I don't think it could get any better than that. Everybody has to return back to their homelands where they can contribute to their society, their ancestry, their country, their nation, their economy. By the way, a lot of these places economically are doing way better than they were 10, 20 years ago. Their economies are stable. There's no war in most of these countries. There's no reason they can't go home. They don't want to go home because they've been allowed to live off the benefits and the fat of the land while they're mistreating you and me as Americans, putting their noses up in the air, walking around in their gated communities, riding around in their nice sports cars, Ferraris, and getting their food stamps. There's a whole thing called Ferrari and food stamps because they're riding their Ferraris collecting food stamps. But if you get food stamps, you're a welfare queen. You're lazy. Even though that's coming from your birth certificate bond, and your trust. Where's the money coming from that they're getting from the government? Chief Max said when he authenticated his birth certificate, they gave him a number to track his birth certificate. He looked it up and he found all these thousands of foreign nationals using his number that's associated to his birth certificate bond to own commercial real estate, businesses, homes, land, all type of property. What are they doing to the rest of you? Their time is up. The gig is up. They must go home. No more trying to make us feel guilty saying they brown. We have to stand with them because they're people of color. They don't even like you. You better not call them black. Are you kidding me? Kamala Harris only did that in order to get a vote. She never called herself black. She said she was the first Indian congresswoman. She was one of the ones that was a part of the 3 strikes rule you out. If a black man classified as black, committed any crime, even if it was a non-violent crime, and he got in trouble 3 times, and we know they were heavily tracked. They couldn't even do that. They might have done nothing. You know how the police do. You brown, black, classified as black. You got a nice car, they're going to pull you over. They'll find something. They'll even plant drugs on you in order to lock you up. We all know the game. in our community, I don't know what everybody else been going through. We ain't been lying, but people been telling us, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. You shouldn't be in prison so much. Shouldn't be participating in crime. 3 strikes you out and you go to prison for life. Nonviolent crimes. And people classified as Black wanted to vote for her. You know why they wanted to vote for her? Because the machine, the Illuminati, deep state, government, the fake faux government that's treasonous, that's secret society, tapped on the shoulders of the Black Greek societies, the Divine Nine, the sororities and fraternities, and told those professionals, along with the boule, to tell the Negroes to vote for Kamala Harris because she pledged as an AKA in the Black Greek sorority. And all these people went crazy because they pledged with the brotherhood and the secret society. We're going to stand with our sister. She's brown. When you are what your mother is, and she said with her own lips, she was the first Asian to be in a congresswoman, but all of a sudden she's Black. I bet you if you check her records, it don't say Black because everybody that come over here classify as white. That's their status, not their ethnicity, their status. They don't give a darn about ethnicity or skin color. Their status is white. While people classified as Black, just in their emotions, run along, vote for Kamala Harris. You don't have to vote for anybody if you take control of your own life. You don't have to like Donald Trump, but you can appreciate the work that's being done by whomever's in charge. Respect the office, respect the policies, respect the freedom and liberation of humanity. But here's my thing, why people are complaining, what are they doing to do the work to liberate humanity? They just want to stand with somebody that's saying I'm brown and they want to make us feel guilty. Oh, y'all need to stand with us. Do you know that most people that funnel money into the Democratic Party do not espouse the Democratic ideologies? They espouse to more conservative values. If the Jews who support Democratic Party, they'll let you know in the Jewish phenomenon, they say we pour lots of money in the Black community in the Democratic Party because they want you to feel all good. They support abortion and liberal agenda. They don't live that lifestyle. None of them that want you to stand with them. None of the Indians, they don't support the Democratic. Are you kidding me? They're conservative. They believe in marriage. They're conservative with their money. Some of them are outright stingy, not even stingy. They don't support the community. They don't pour back into the American culture. They don't learn the culture. Some of them don't even care to learn the language. They don't even support the community in which they embed their businesses. They're not liberal. And they keep the bloodline pure because try to marry a Negro and see what happens. They will excommunicate you so fast your head will spin. They're not liberal. They don't care nothing about you. Do they support all humanity being liberated? Are there convenience stores full of fresh fruits and vegetables in the Black community or in the rural white community? Or do they have junk cookies and cakes and popcorn and candies? And do they get government aid to fill the convenience stores with junk at their food marts because it's a food desert in rural white communities and Black communities? But at least the rural white communities have farms. We used to have farms before the beings that enslaved us and made us prisoners of war stored our land, stole our land and gave it to a bunch of foreign nationals from Europe and otherwise. We used to have land and then they trick us out of it and we go along with it thinking I'd rather live in the city and have fun and work with the white people and be along with them and be in their schools instead of maintaining our own, teaching our own, healing our own. If you want to assimilate, fine. Just don't give up your land. Because you know what they do after they tricked us into selling our land or stealing our land outright? They put in their property deeds, do not sell the land. But what they'll tell you that the elites say do not sell the land. But what these very smart, conniving people won't tell you is what's in the deed is not only do not sell the land, it's do not sell the land to Black people. How do you know that? Well, I took real estate classes in Florida and I took it in Kentucky, where I used to live, and I have a son who's a real estate broker, and we were taught this by real estate experts in real estate law. It's still embedded in these deeds. Do not sell the land to Black people, even though they stole it from you or they bought stolen land from you. Do not sell the land to Black people. Now, when you look it up, it will say, oh, that's illegal. But it's still on the books. It's still embedded in deeds. And it will go on to tell you that it's very hard to have it removed from the deeds. You have to go through certain statutes and processes that can take months and years to have them out of the deeds. Meanwhile, they're walking around minding their business, living their own happy foreign national life as a United States citizen. Time I have dual citizenship. Well, citizenship status is now over. The corporation that afforded them citizenship is now bankrupt, defunct, and out of money. They afforded privileges. You pay tribute to the corporation that affords you privileges. Well, now your tribute or taxes will not matter because the IRS is being done away with. And the corporation that afforded you privileges, not rights. Rights are come from the Republic and from God. Privileges come from the institution that gave you citizenship. Those privileges are being revoked. So all the people that's crying and begging and paying attorney fees to stay here, it doesn't matter. Because in the same document that you signed or you agreed to that said that immigration has the authority to tell you how long you can stay here, they're using their discretion to tell you your time is up and you got to go home. And we're not fighting for you because many of these foreign nationals took jobs, took benefits from the government, took grants, like the people in Missouri that took billions of dollars for daycare centers and childhood programs that don't exist, while they're walking around on their cell phones, not working, riding around in their nice cars, bringing their 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wives here that's delivering babies and getting birthright citizenship. And you're wondering, how are all these people here? Maybe I'm just racist. I know some of the white folks probably like, I'm trying my best not to be racist, but my God, I don't want to be xenophobic, but my God. I mean, we got along with the African Americans after tens, decades fighting civil rights. I fought with them and we've learned to get along together. We do business together. But my God, I don't want to be racist. I don't want to be xenophobic. But my God, these people are coming from all over the place. They don't speak English. It's an infestation. They're dropping their babies everywhere. How are they even affording to live in all these communities? Because they were given the opportunity, but their time's up. Now I'm going to keep exposing the fraud till you and I do something about it. But you know what? We can expose the fraud, but we can also put ourselves in position to live the same good life. Okay. I've already provided you the avenue on my post, the community section, how to get your credit up if you're trying to get good credit so you can afford a place to live, so you can afford a car if you need one. I would even help you with learning about scholarships. If you want to participate in the matrix and send your children to college or go to college yourself, you need to look for scholarships. Look for work study programs. That's the name of it. In colleges, work study is a program and it is for people that have a certain income level, okay? But somehow foreign nationals figure a way to get into it. Work study programs are undergrad schools, maybe associate programs, I don't know, but 4-year programs, universities and colleges where you can work on campus while you're taking classes. You only work between 10 and 20 hours a week. But the good side of that, you might be working, you're making money, it might be minimum wage or a little above minimum wage, but you're making money. The other side, while you work for the university, the other side of that is your tuition is fully paid. Look for work study programs. Look for scholarships. Go to your financial aid office and ask for scholarship. Look for, if you're older, if you're a junior or senior and you need to make money while you're in college, ask if you can work in housing as an RN, RA, a resident advisor, where you can help students and be their coach or their mentor in the housing department on a university campus. They will pay your tuition while you mentor freshmen and sophomore. Look for work study. If you're an undergrad school, look for graduate assistant scholarships. If you're working on a master's degree or a PhD or even a medical degree, you can look. But medical degree, we usually in medical school don't like our students to work because you got to focus and pass these hard sciences. But working on a master's degree, ask your financial aid department or your graduate student office if they have graduate assistantships. Those are, or graduate assistantships or graduate research assistantships. A graduate assistantship will allow you as a graduate student working on your master's to work at the university, but they pay your college tuition. You're making money while paying your college tuition. You can do a graduate research assistantship where you can actually do research in different departments. Go to financial aid or the graduate office or both. Ask for graduate assistantships, research assistantships. If you are working on your doctoral program or you're going to think about a doctoral program, look into fellowships, or you look for graduate assistantships, look for scholarships and fellowships. Fellowships pay your college tuition and give you a stipend to live off of. And back in the day when I was in my graduate program in like 2010 up through 2014, they were paying $24,000 a year just for you to live. That was your money while you focused on school. It's not a whole lot of money, but it sure beats being hungry. $24,000, it depends on the graduate assistantship, the fellowship, that's paying you a stipend and your tuition. What else? Look in the community outreach of all of the universities in your city and see what type of programs they have for young people in middle school, elementary school, high school, summer programs that will provide professional development and give them different activities to do in the summer. They can go go to certain classes with maybe 20 or more students in the summertime. Keep them busy. Look for summer programs through the Y to keep your children busy. I never allowed my children to be just laying around hanging out when they were, I'm really about academics. Okay, I had them in academic programs and their father taught them music because he was a musician. So they were always busy. And I never let them go anywhere. I took them and I sat with them. You don't get to go. You get to be taken. You get to travel with me, and I can be the chauffeur, and I will agree to help the school watch the other students and work as a volunteer. I had a full-time job, but I found a way to volunteer in my children's schools before we took them out and homeschooled them, or my sister-in-law created a private school. But there are avenues to gain access. You just have to know where the money is. When I did my research, I discovered because I researched Black American male college success, how I can help them to matriculate and graduate from college successfully. And what we discovered is that the ones that had access to funds, had mentors, participated in community service or student activities, they had family involvement, and they took Pan-African Studies classes or classes around people that look like them. Those were the ones that succeeded. Access to funds, mentorship, family involvement, took Pan-African Studies or some type of studies department with people that look like them, and operated or participated in student activities on campus. But I was very involved with all of my mentees. They were all Black males. I made sure they had access to funds. I made sure that they had mentors themselves, even men, and there were even professors that didn't look like me. There were a lot of professors classified as white that really wanted to see these men do well and succeed. And so we recruited them to be mentors and to help us if that's what they wanted to do. So there are ways to make sure your children have the same access as some of these people that's coming over here living well off your land. Avail yourself of the opportunity. Tell yourself, I am wealthy. I am a king. I am a queen. I am thriving. I am healthy. I am wise. Because when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And the moment you make up your mind, the universe will conspire to assist you. Everything in the universe will bow to your commands. So instead of saying, I can't, I won't, it's too hard, ask yourself, how can I? and command your blessing, command your wealth, command your prosperity, command your sovereignty, command your freedom. Put in the comment section, freedom now, hashtag freedom now. You are free. Command that people return to their homelands and make their homelands great again. Command it for yourself. I had people from other countries say on my platform, in the comment section, I will gladly go back home if they literally give us our wealth that was stolen from us in our homelands. They would go, some of them would go back. So as much as I can, I'm going to give you all the information that I know of and that I can to help you. If your children want to go into medicine, teach them young, start them out young. You want to look for, if they want to know how to study it was an LSAT to get into law school, which we know all lawyers have to be retrained in constitutional law. They can study early. They can take summer programs early. They can go to Kaplan and some of these other education programs and actually be tutored and take online programs to prepare for the LSAT. Take online programs to help them pass even their SATs and their ACT in order to get it into college. Kaplan has them. Some of your universities have them for free. These programs to take the ACT and the SAT to get into college. Look for Kaplan and education programs that will help my children get into college. If your children want to get into medicine, they have to know they have to pass the MCAT, the medical college admissions test, and that must be taken their sophomore or junior year of college. They need to be preparing in high school. There are programs that will train you. There are colleges today that will give you a summer MCAT program. And some of it's paid for. They can get a scholarship or a grant, or they can just apply and get in because universities are giving money all across the country to help students prepare for them MCAT. They specifically, a lot of these countries look for PEP programs, PEPP, or MCAT prep programs, MCAT, or DAT prep programs. They target rural white students and students that are underrepresented in medicine that are classified as minority. But you know what? A lot of times money is just left over, so they let anybody get in. I can't tell you how many students came into our programs that were earmarked for Black folk, African Americans, and rural rights students that were foreign nationals from other countries. Their fathers were doctors. Their mothers were doctors or physician assistants. They got the money because it was sitting there. And rather than send the money back, the schools would rather recruit the students that will take the money. But we have to get out there and let people know, instead of saying Black folk can't get into medicine, rural white students can't get into medicine, Americans can't get into medicine, if that's what you want to get into, or can't get into dentistry, because maybe you can turn the field around. There are also schools I know in Orlando that teach, alternative medicine. Like there are chiropractic schools, there are herbal schools, there are alternative medicine schools. They're there. You just have to know it, look for it, and avail yourself of the opportunity. If they say we don't have grants or scholarships, you keep asking them, what do you have? You look it up, you research it. Now you know, hopefully I'm exposing you to some of the things, okay, that you might have known or may have just forgotten. If you want to know how your children can pass some of these graduate level tests to get into medicine, dentistry, or professional school, have them to read every day in elementary and middle school. They have to read something in order to pass some of these tests. But the good news is some of these standardized tests are going to be done away with. However, in order to get into certain programs, though, you have to qualify. You want to make sure that they know how to read, and you want to make sure that they're prepared. If they want to go into medicine, your children should be shadowing a doctor, shadowing a nurse, shadowing a lawyer, shadowing a hairdresser, shadowing or working with the farmers. Remember apprentice programs? They've done away with a lot of apprentice programs. They'll do internships in college. It's too late by then. I shouldn't say it's too late. It's not never too late, but give them a head start. It's a beautiful fact of life. What did you say? The stupid notion that there are multiple races would imply that every ethnic background and demographic location is a different race, and they are not. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Why don't you defend Rachel Corrie and go after the people that bulldozed her? I don't know who she is. Never heard of her. We need copper-colored dentists for show, Miss Cherokee said. Yeah, and did you know there are natural dentists that have natural procedures? They're no longer using like aluminum in your teeth. They're using the natural things to take care of cavities. I had a friend that tell me about that. Yes, freedom now. So you fine with everyone but Trump. I don't know what you're saying. They need to get rid of those tests. Yeah, they were designed to make you fail from the beginning. A lot of those standardized tests were very challenging, and they weren't what they call, I can't remember the correct terminology, but certain cultures and background didn't necessarily share the same understanding of certain concepts. They're culturally biased, that's the word. This is why the state of Tennessee rejected funds from the Department of Education a couple years ago in 2022. They said, we're not taking money from the Department of Education. We can take care of the state. And speaking of states, Governor Ron DeSantis said that he's doing away with property taxes. He said a lot of property taxes that's based on the amount of students that's in the, he said you have property taxes and then you have schools that are funded by the property taxes. He said that whole system was challenged, and he's finding a way to get rid of and ending property tax. And that will happen all across the country, where they're going to get rid of property tax along with the IRS and other taxes. And they're dismantling schools. The public funds are running out. President Trump froze those funds from the Department of Education, and then he sent them to the states, so that now if you want to start your own private school or you want to homeschool, you can have that money. Tennessee was ahead of the game in 2022. They said, we're not taking money from the government. From the Department of Education. We're going to fund our own schools because we don't believe in standardized tests. We don't believe in a liberal agenda. We're not teaching our children the information that the Department of Education shoves down their throat. We'll be okay. We'll work at the state level to secure funds for our own children. And now other states are jumping on board, such as Florida. Greeting. Hey, Chief Mac's in the house. Greeting, Chief Mac. So what I wanted to come to you here to tell you, family, is that President Trump said he's pushing for the Save America Act. It passed through the House. It stalled in the Senate. He's not signing anything until they force people to prove that they're United States citizens in order to vote. What people don't know is that behind the scenes, really at the forefront, he's challenging all type of citizenship, because citizenship is not the same thing as sovereignty. And even if you're a citizen, you're not afforded rights, you're afforded privileges. The same entity that granted privileges is the same entity that can take them away. Meanwhile, President Trump and his administration is coming after doctors and healthcare professionals that have significantly impacted and hurt our health. What did he say he would do? He came after, was it 455 people in the healthcare profession, including doctors that have harmed Americans and committed fraud against us? He said, if you hurt, harm, or mistreat Americans, we will find you, hunt you down, seize your assets, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. Of the 455 people that they just went after 90 of them were doctors. And we told you that many of the doctors that are here unlawfully. I'm going to see how many. I asked chat, how many foreign nationals work in healthcare in the United States? More than 3.1 million foreign-born individuals work in the United States healthcare, making up about 20% of the healthcare workforce. This includes naturalized citizens, lawful permanent residents, and non-citizens who are here on work visas. 3.1 million foreign-born individuals. If you're not born in America, can you really have Americans' best interests at heart? I'm just asking a question. Chief Mack told you yesterday, a lot of people, a couple people he knew, somebody went in for a stomach ache, found out he had, I think he had something going on in some cells that were irregular. He came out with an organ gone. And he said, he told the doctor, we didn't discuss you taking out my organs. I know in the hospital, never. I know one woman a couple years ago, she had her own farm in Florida, raised her own food, had all her teeth in her 80s, had a stomach ache, went to the hospital, and never left. The Trump administration charged 455 people, including doctors, with $6.5 billion in healthcare fraud. That's why he said, we'll find you, hunt you down, seize your assets, and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. So we need to take control of our own country, our own healthcare, our own foods. I don't know what they're feeding us over here if they have the grocery stores and they have the restaurants. I can't tell you how many Chinese restaurants we know of in certain places that were closed down because they were found to be human trafficking, running sex trafficking rings and feeding dogs and cats and other things to the people. This isn't even hearsay. This isn't even conspiracy. It's the truth. You can look it up. Y'all keep saying bought. They were given leeway to run it. Somebody say in the comments section. Big business has ruined our healthcare. Our bread and milk sucks here. I hear you. I'm very grateful for what the administration is doing to return America back to Americans. And I'm grateful for you all being here in the chat. Even if you disagree, I'm grateful you're here. But no, if you disagree and you're being rude and disrespectful, it used to bother me a lot. Now I just be like, you're giving me your energy. You must love me. You must love the information. I'm living rent-free in your head. Some people can't stop talking about how conservatives are conspiracy theorists and they're nutcases. That means you're really in love with us. You can't stop talking about us. We okay with that. The more you talk and the more you chat, the more I get paid. If I was you, I wouldn't want to help that with that. But hey, keep talking. I saw somebody was saying there's a troll in the chat. But you better watch out because Sister Janine don't play. She is our moderator. She will block you. So be careful. Be mindful of your energy, family, and speak life to your situation, to your finances, to your children, and to your family. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope that I've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve. Everything is changing and turning around for our good. Whether you're a national here in America or a foreign national, you have the opportunity, you will, to make your country great again. Excuse me. I need to blow my nose. Every nation has a sovereign wealth fund, and they have wealth that will be distributed and redistributed to the people. I wish this information was public so that people can be encouraged. Nobody wants to give up their benefits, their entitlement You could come to America and be treated better than Americans. You can come to America and live better than Americans. You can come to America and never speak the English language if you wanted to. You can come to America and not assimilate, still have your culture, fly your flag, build up your country with American dollars, send money back home while you're living comfortably in America, or relatively comfortably, even though you got to pay bills here in America. And so who wants to give up that type of entitlement? We get it. That's hard to give up. However, the time for that has run out, and America is for Americans. We haven't had the same opportunities as many people. Even though we fought for it, we worked hard for it, a lot of us were blocked. If we're being honest, some of us bought into the rhetoric that we're slaves. We bought into the rhetoric that we can't. We bought into the rhetoric, that we are less than. And it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. But a lot of times people kept trying and trying and trying, but they weren't given the same opportunities. So even if you have two people that are vying for the same job that look like they have the same opportunities, but one's been given a step up because they've been given land that was stolen from these peoples and their ancestors. So they're given land, they're given scholarship money, they're given jobs, they're allowed to have children on the lands and get benefits. They can claim white status, which is a part of white supremacy, which is really about status and privilege being given to people that are above the prisoners of war classified as African Americans. And then everything you get, you have to literally fight for it. You get tired of fighting, you get tired, and then they put drugs in your community, guns in your community, and you like, I just want to zone out. And you avail yourself of that instead of consistently fighting. You're not just fighting against the system. You're not just fighting against the government. The FBI is in your community gathering data. The CIA is in your community. The police officers are in your community. They're putting guns in your community. You have your own so-called militia and community, or we used to have community watch. And we didn't have police in our communities like we do now. We might have had a sheriff or a deputy that was your uncle or man or Ray or Mr. Johnny, people you knew who and then that kept you on the straight and narrow. But now you got people with a badge and a gun that's not even American, or they're not from your community, that's taught to shoot you on contact no matter what. So you get exhausted. You fighting administration. You having less access to the schools. People flooding your community. Now you got people, after they stole your house and through eminent domain, or just took all your property and pushed you on the outskirts of the city, and then brought in people who don't look like you because they want the jobs that's by the city. And now they even displacing people classified as white by bringing in all these foreign nationals. And they don't just bring them into the inner city, they bring them into the Black community where all their wives and their children speaking their language, running their stores, doing whatever they want to do, practicing their own religion. And it's just like you feel like you don't have a chance. Well, I'm here to tell you, you do have a chance. It's a whole new reality. It's a whole new day. You have to command it to be so. And avail yourselves of the opportunities that are around you. That's why we talk about silver and gold. Somebody say, you act like everybody has silver and gold. No, everybody doesn't have silver and gold. But if you have a phone, you got it. It's in your phone. If you have a computer, appliances, you have silver, you have copper. If you have a car, you have palladium. If you want to avail yourself of silver and gold, you can go to a coin shop near you. You can go to Miles Franklin, not call them at 952-929-7006, or send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Let them know Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you so you can get the best prices in the industry, but you can also go to your local coin shop. You can get gold Arum notes or gold backs online, or go to your local coin shop. You can go to an antique shop, a pawn shop. It's good to have these things around you. Go to an estate sale. Trust me, when you hold silver in your hands, you will know why it's considered real money. And when you put it up to your chest, or you feel having a bad day and you put it on your temple, or sleep on top of silver, or put it on your heart or wear gold and silver jewelry, it literally raises your frequencies. It changes your frequencies and raises your vibrations. You drink out of cups, excuse me. It changes your frequency. Drink colloidal, monoatomic gold and silver. It makes you feel different. It heals viruses on contact. Silver does. Oh, I just got a new voicemail. And thank you for all of you who sent me a Cash App gift. I appreciate it. Thank you, Chief Mac. I did get your gift. I'm gonna call you. Thank you so much for sending me a Cash App blessing. I appreciate you, Chief. You take care of me, and I'm very, very grateful. I always want to acknowledge you and the Soul Tribe that listen to our reports and send a donation or a gift to show your gratitude for the work that we do. So things are changing. We're being set free all across the globe, not just Americans, even foreign nationals. We keep saying foreign nationals because that's the home of your, where your people are. But people need to go back if they came here the wrong way. A lot of people don't know that President Trump has deported more legal immigrants than illegal immigrants, because a lot of legal immigrants, even though they're here, they might be legal now. How did they get here? They might be legal now. Have they committed any crimes since they've been here? Are they part of the 455 people that committed billions of dollars in fraud in the healthcare community? Wow. There was a case including a fraudulent wound care case. Oh man, it went away. I need to read that. A fraudulent, let me see. Let me see if I can find that. These cases include fraudulent wound care claims, which resulted in $2 billion in Medicare payments to one Arizona company and another $906 million scheme in Texas. In another case, one California hospice owner allegedly paid a funeral home employee for information about the recently deceased to fraudulently bill Medicare for a few days of hospice services. The takedown also included charges against 295 defendants and more than $518 million in false submitted claims to Medicaid, the largest number of people charged and funds lost to fraud in the Justice Department's history. Last year, the Justice Department charged 324 defendants with more than $14.6 billion in alleged fraud. I got a phone call. The Justice Department charged 324 defendants with more than $14.6 billion in alleged fraud during its annual takedown effort. For more CNN news and newsletters, you can go to CNN.com, but there's news all over the internet with this. All you have to do is type in President Trump goes against 455 people in medical fraud or healthcare fraud. Thank you for the gift. I'm just now seeing that. Wow. Thank you so much, Brother Tony. To get $20. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Creator, smile on you. You're such a devoted member of the Soul Tribe. And anyone else that wants to give a donation, my Cash App is $ Mama Kia 13. MAMAKIA 13. So that's it. I need to clear out my throat, get rid of this stuff that's in my body. Maybe take some herbs or something. I'm Dr. Kia Pruitt. I said that once already. Thank you so much for joining me. I saw Chief Mac in the comments section. If you're interested in a consultation with him, I don't do consultations, but he does. You can contact him at unityinmotion45@yahoo.com. You can send him an email. Then you will pay a consultation fee for $75, and he can talk to you about foreign currencies, how to live in a private, how to create a private trust, and other things. He can help you put together a fitness plan, because he did actually train celebrities and others in Georgia and otherwise, and he competed nationally. So that's it, family. Sister Janine's in the chat. Send her some love. Thank you, Sister Janine, for monitoring our chat. Thank you, Soul Tribe members, for being here. I love you all so much. I do. I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for listening to the podcast, for sharing the videos, for sending me love and encouraging me when the times I would get discouraged. I thank you so much. And we're gonna go out now. I'm gonna play the outro, and I'll stay here in case you all have questions. Okay, let me go ahead and play the theme song, but I'm gonna be monitoring the chat, and we'll play it for about 3 minutes. If you have questions, I will answer your questions. Oh, 1 minute. Dr. Kia shining wisdom's light, teaching soul tribe how to see through the night. Ancient scriptures and bloodlines she knows, spreading truth wherever she goes. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, freer day. Yeah. Through her channel, knowledge flows, breaking chains that hold us close. Teaching paths to abundance and wealth, guiding others to free themselves. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations for one and all. Dr. Kia shows the way to a brighter, free. You're welcome. Here's my favorite part. From currencies to investments divine. She's helping her try to realign with wisdom, ancient and new, showing what we all can do. Y'all remember this? Remember we used to do this? How we used to go? In Vogue. Soul tribe rising, hear her call, raising vibrations. I never was a dancer. I never was a dancer. I never was allowed to dance, but I sure like to dance. Free a day. Soul tribe rising, hear a call, raising vibrations for one. That's right. Hey, hey, hey. Where the soul tribe at? All right, soul tribe, if there are no questions, if all hearts and minds are clear, we can go on out of here. I don't see any questions. Hey, I'm riding with the Trump administration too. I'm riding. I'm enjoying what I see happening. I love you all. I love each and every one of you. I love all my friends from America, all my friends from abroad. And, I'm interested in hearing from people that are from other countries what they think about this. Do you think President Trump is being too aggressive in his approach to close the borders and to challenge citizenship? Groovy, and if so, we understand that and it might be hard, but it'd be nice to hear other people's perspective. I would love to interview somebody from another country that's here who maybe think opposite, maybe think that we shouldn't be as aggressive, closing our borders. I would be interested in interviewing somebody to hear their perspective, because I get it that a lot of things were done to these other countries to keep them in perpetual economic influx or poverty, some of them, and some of them countries had war there. For example, if you didn't want to use the United States dollar for trade, then they would go against your country, right? And so America would literally declare war on these countries that said, we don't want to participate in the shenanigans of the United States. And then after they instigate war in those countries and decimate their economy and decimate their infrastructure, they would then force them to go back to using the dollar or pegging their currency to the United States dollar. But what they did, these people are evil. They would fund the United States Incorporated. They're not Americans, okay? They're entities, bloodline families that usurped our republic. They would go to these countries, declare war, fund both sides of the war, right? And then the military, the high up military, not everyday people, unless they found the information, would buy the currency in those countries that were decimated. Now that war is in the country, war has been declared, or the infrastructure destroyed, the currency's value would decrease. The military people high up, not the everyday people, would buy the currency that had been deflated or depreciated because of the war. Hold on to those currencies. This is what happened in Kuwait in 1991. Not just people high up in military, bankers, people from the own corporations, CEOs, so-called elite. They would buy the currencies that were depreciated in war, hold on to them. Then America would go into those same countries that they destroyed through war, rebuild the infrastructure, rebuild their GDP. Then that country's currency would then go back to its pre-war value. And then those entities that bought those countries, like Kuwait's dinar and currency that had been devalued by the war, now they would go to the bank with the new currency exchange rate and become extremely wealthy. That's how a lot of people became millionaires and billionaires. So let me say this. In 1991, Kuwait, their dinar was like $3.61. I'm just throwing out a number. It was over the USD. It was $3 and some over the USD. So then during the war, remember the war was going on, the Kuwaiti war. My brother served in, I think it was with the Iraqi war, Kuwaiti war, something in 1991. The currency depreciated from $3 and something cent above the USD. It depreciated to like just a few cents. Now it's worthless, like 16 cents per USD instead of $3 and some cent above the USD. So the country's decimated. The people are having a hard time. The GDP is horrible. The infrastructure's been destroyed. People go up in their country, buy up their Kuwaiti dinar that's now pennies on our dollar, looking like fools. We didn't know. We didn't even know they were doing this. Then they waited to United States went in after the war, rebuilt the infrastructure, rebuilt the buildings, poured money into them, brokered deals. Their economy became more stable after the United States rebuilt the infrastructure, pulled out of that region. Then their dinar went back to the pre-war value of like $3.60 above the USD, whereas they had been devalued during war. You could just go to the bank, Be like, look, I bought these for 16 cents, a few dollars. Now it's worth $3 above the USD. And they became millionaires. This is something that only the so-called elite know about. But now our ancestors and the Galactic Federation is letting us all know how they ran game. We're not taking advantage of people if we buy in their country. In fact, if you join my private group and you heard some other people that's in the currency arena speak, you know that these countries are asking for people to invest in their country. You can invest in the stock market. You can buy up their currency. However. So in the middle of the night in Kuwait, when nobody else knew what was going on, it was dark because they were experiencing a power outage. Kuwait had just put out a message saying, we won't revalue our currency. Look it up. People went to the bank in the middle of the night. I don't even know how they got the call. No, that there was a power outage even in the banks. How did this happen? That's what the report said. They exchanged their Kuwaiti dinar that they had bought on the cheap, and they became wealthy. They might have even gone to their own country and revalued the dinar if their country was exchanging it. So the whole foreign currency rhetoric is not just something that you're throwing out there or people are just saying. It's literally occurred in history. In fact, I'm writing a book about it. The book, I had my publishers to look through it, editors to look at it. I've even asked financial advisors to read through it to make sure it's accurate, to make sure I cite my sources. And trust me, they were like, you need to change this, that. And they were hard, especially the financial people in the finance. But I'm good with that because I've been through the ringer. I know that in order to get better, in order to be polished, people need to critique you. I'm getting better at accepting critiques. But when you go to college and they have to say your research is good enough, your book reports, your research paper, your experiments, your doctoral thesis, when you have people that work at a high level, they're considered scholastic masters, tell you this isn't good enough, and you spend years writing work and them tearing it up and saying you got to do it better, and you got to cite more sources, it really makes you sharper. It helps you to grow up emotionally. So if you are invested in foreign currencies, please know that a lot of these countries are now in a better position and their countries are thriving. They're just not telling you. I know about what's happening in Venezuela. When you look at the news coming out of Venezuela, they tell you that President Trump bought oil, not that he stole it. And they're telling you what they're doing with that money. They're telling you what's happening in their country. Venezuela is open for business. Vietnam, these countries are asking for people to invest in. Some of these countries are doing so well behind the scenes that the demand for their currency is increasing. Foreign investors invest in stock market, foreign currencies, businesses, etc. Everyday people will tell you it makes no money. You're just trying to make money off of somebody else's pain because they haven't been educated. If you're interested in learning more about foreign currencies, or you want to be a part of a group that talks about investing in different countries, talk about gold, I finally released a video that I actually did for my private group last year to my public channel yesterday on how to barter with gold and silver. We were talking about gold and silver, how to barter with and how to buy gold backs and why copper is important a year and a half ago, years ago. Because sometimes you bring the information out to the public and they don't want to hear or they're not interested. So that's it. A lot of countries have become very, very wealthy from a lot of these, investors and people from investing in foreign currencies. Mainstream media will not tell you the truth always. They will just tell you what they think you deserve to know. Somebody said, who's it? Cohetha says, if you're still listening to the news or watching the news, you don't really want to know the truth. So I was looking to see if you all had any questions. I don't think you do. Thank you for listening to me. I love that you all are communicating with each other. Excuse me. I'm going to go get my grandchildren some food. They've been doing a good job of keeping themselves occupied while I'm doing my lives. Beautiful Dr. Kia Soul Tribe. Hi, I am Miss Love. The people who call themselves Indians from India are really Hindustan. Let's call them what they really are, Hindustan. Thank you. Thank you. They're Hindustan. I wonder if that's what they call themselves. Thank you so much. All right, family. Thank you for your time, your energy, for your donations, and for chatting in the group. I'll come back probably tomorrow. We were going to have Farmer Dre. I was going to say I'll definitely be back tomorrow. Farmer Dre was going to come on tomorrow, but we rescheduled for Monday. And I'm so excited. He has some information to share with us. And he is eventually going to sell the bug out bags that is comprised of everything you will need in case of a blackout, emergency broadcast system announcement, or if you have to live off the grid or choose to live off the grid. I asked him to put them together in a bundle for people who don't want to necessarily shop for each, flashlight, this bag, this food, that food. Some people, we want the convenience, you what, 150, some people like, look, it's whatever it is, it might be worth it. Some people want the bundle rather than having to and look for different products. So Farmer Dre will be here. Okay, Farmer Dre will be here on the show on Monday. You are saying, oh, you're asking if Chief Mac's coming on tonight. I'll ask him to do a live tonight. I know he just had a birthday yesterday. He's spending time with his family, but I think he is going to do a live. I'll ask him, okay? Thank you, Soul Tribe, for supporting our beautiful doctor. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Janine. And thank you all for supporting me, for supporting my work. You're welcome, Tony. I look forward to hearing from Chief. I just talked to him last night, but I haven't spoken to him today. Happy belated birthday, Chief Mac. He's 55. He doesn't have any gray hair. He's still toned, looking good. She said, you're welcome. Still out here in these streets, helping people, mentoring people, creating trust. Let me put Chief Mac email. Chief Mac's email, in case you want to contact him for a consultation. Unity in Emotion 45 at yahoo.com. I might come on. If Chief Mac doesn't come on tonight, I'll come on later tonight to answer questions. We need a Q&A. So for people that want to ask questions about the revaluation of currencies, Nasara and Dasara, or just want to hang out and talk. So we'll do that either tonight or tomorrow night. But I want to wait to see if Chief Mac wants to come on. I love you all so much. You are my reason, okay? You confirm my calling to help liberate the people. And I'm also going to have someone to come on and talk about humanitarian projects. Thank you. Are just like that. And just like that says, Dr. Kia, I've sent you a couple of donations, but I don't know if you received them, and it's not showing up on my end. And just like that, I'm not able to check it while I'm on the phone. Let me see. The only one I see, let me see. Today, I only see Chief Mac. Thank you, Chief Mac, and Sister Deborah. Thank you, Sister Deborah. You may have sent it another day, and I just didn't see it. What is your name on, and just like that, what is your name on Cash App? I want to make sure I give you your flowers and express my gratitude. You want to know when will Sheik be back on? We'll have to see. And she has a channel too. I'll be so glad when he unleashes his channel because he's so entertaining. He has so much information. He's really a blessing. May I request your email? I have an album I want to gift you. Sounds of Nate. Ooh, Healing Frequencies. It is kiapruitt@gmail.com. I don't know what Apply Pay or Apple Pay is. I mean, I heard of Apple Pay, but Apply Pay, does that go through? I don't have Apple. I don't know if that does it go through PayPal? Will it come through to my Cash App? I don't have Apple. I don't have Apple products. I'm so old school. I have Android. I won't move. I won't move up today. I don't have an iPhone. I need to get better. Hi. Hi, Juju. Oh, you sent it through Cash App from YouTube. Thank you. And just like me, I wonder if it came onto YouTube. Okay, let me see if it came under. Let me look through my YouTube to see. I see Brother Tony. Thank you, Brother Tony. I see your gift. I'm looking on my YouTube channel, okay? I see Brother Tony's gift. I don't know. Maybe I don't have access to all the chat. I don't see it, dear. And you don't see it on your end? I don't see the gift. Huh. I don't see it. But you know what? They're not showing me all of my comments. We've been on for almost 3 hours. I don't see all of my comments for 3 hours. You mentioned that whoever paid out on student loans will receive those funds back into their trust account. So I don't know if you get a check or if it'll go back into your trust account. I'm going to send it again. Thank you so much. And just like me, I did just get this gift. Thank you so much. God bless you. I appreciate you. You're going to send it again. I appreciate. Thank you so very much for all the gifts and offerings, donations. I appreciate you very much. It's such an honor to even be a part of your soul tribe, and for you all to accept me as one of your family members is a blessing. Everything you paid in rent, everything you paid in mortgage, everything you paid for car loans, student loans, it's supposed to be returned back to you. I was told we would get it all back. And I was told that whatever your ancestors left for you, the lands that you own here, will be returned back to you. Chief Rod Hayes told us that. He said they know where each of us live. They know not only through the Census Bureau by taking the census, but they know all of our records. Oops. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I hope you can still hear me. I got a call. They know who we are. We're going to have our lands and everything returned back to us. You're welcome. Thank you for all the insight. You're welcome. You don't appreciate me, Dr. Pruitt, and I have given you what money cannot buy. I don't know who you are, Sin Amen. Amen. I don't know who you are. Said I don't appreciate, and you have given me. What have you given me? And who what is your name? Because I don't know who you are. But I want to give you your flowers and let you know show you my appreciation. I've never heard your name before. I'm old school and have Android too. I still work and miss your lives. Catching up is a process. You are such an inspiration, Dr. Kia, for all you do. Thank you so much. And just like me, Rob wants to say something. What do you want to say?
Nothing. I just want to be here.
Okay. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the show, family. Thank you, Sister Sheila. You're in here. You're welcome. Thank you. They're getting hungry, huh?
$20.
Yes. Brother Tony sent some money to $20. So I love you, family. My family just been trying to call me. My grandchildren are hungry, so I have to go. I love you. Make this a great day, and I'll see you on the other side. We'll talk soon, maybe later tonight. Chief Mac might be on tonight. Join him on the Chief Mac Show on YouTube. And thank you all so much. I love you. Peace, family. They're saying goodbye, Amen.
Bye.
He's a boy, family. Somebody doesn't know you to say she's beautiful. Aw, he's a boy. Your student loan was taken off your credit report and closed out. Congratulations, Kohita. God bless you. That's great news. Thank you for sharing. Yes, it's happening, family. I know we're tired of waiting, like we're exhausted, like let's get this show on the road, but it's happening. Okay, let's speak it into existence to speed up. We command our wealth, we command our blessing, we command our prosperity, we command world peace, we command sovereignty, we command the universe to bow to our commands, right? Thank you, family. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Say peace.